It's the winter of 2015 in the remote province of Chuching at the Gukyang High School, an extreme school where anything goes with no restrictions, a place where even the country's law and order have no reach and say, a place that is only for the strong and not for the weaks. We see a meeting between the main gang of the group as the third-year students are talking to the second-year students about the new batch of young first-year students who have potential to join the gang. The second-year representative says that there is a new promising student this year who has entered their area of control without notice and has been causing a lot of havoc. He asks the third years if he should discipline the kid. Long Spear, the top 4 of the entire gang, says that he doesn't want questions, but certain commitments as they're not playing kiddie games. The second-year representative says that he will be handling that with certainty then. The 6th top member of the group, Broom, asks the rep when the hierarchy for the new kids will be decided, to which the rep says it will be held today, and he tells the rep to bring in the good ones only. Then the scene changes to the outside areas where we see a group of new first-year students gather outside. The setting is like that of a group of animals fighting to rule over one kingdom, and one of those animals is the Hydra, Huang In-sim. In-sim says that he feels cold whenever he sees those scary first-year students coming from the other school as they're so intimidating. One of his friends say that one of the members of that school is a member of the Gangajil, which is like discipline maintenance gang of the area. In-sim thinks this is stupid, as there can be no way that a middle schooler is a member of such a big organization. Just when he is insulting the other school, one of its students, the huge and intimidating Park Ki-duck, also known by many as the brown bear, appears behind him and absolutely scares the soul out of In-sim. Ki-duck keeps getting into In-sim's face and asks him what did he say, scaring the Hydra more and more. One of In-sim's friend tries to intervene and make things normal by saying that they were talking about some other topic, but the brown bear asks which topic were they talking about. However, out of nowhere, In-sim gets a weird boost of fake courage where just goes off on Ki-duck, asking him just who he thinks In-sim is and mocks him by saying that Ki-duck can't do a damn thing to him. Ki-duck is mad and asks In-sim to repeat it again, which makes In-sim's fake courage go away. However, Jang Young, who comes into the scene and tells Ki-duck to shut up and don't act too highly, or else he will finish him off for food. Jang Young, who is also known as the Bull Fist. Park Ki-duck gets mad and they both square up and a fight is almost about to break out, but they hold back because the seniors are to come very soon. Young, who then praises In-sim for being so courageous and confronting the brown bear. In-sim, still somewhat out of it, plays it off like it was something cool. In-sim then tries to get things back together as he realizes that he is getting older and that he already is a high school student now. He is happy thinking of the growth, but just then the seniors arrive to the scene. The seniors come forth and the rep from before starts talking about the hierarchy selection day, but he is interrupted by one of the first-year students and he throws a wicked punch to his face and makes him bleed. He then holds him up and asks him how dare he interrupt a senior of his. It's Lee Young-jun after all, nicknamed the Zombie, and he is alongside his fellow second-year mate Koo Jae-hyuk, who is also known as the dump truck. The second years just have a very different aura than that of the first years. They won't even tolerate a word from the juniors. He then tells all the middle school students that he is happy to meet them and that they are going to be starting the procedure right now in order. He tells all the middle school leaders to get ready to show what they're made of and secure themselves the best spot in the hierarchy with their strength. Young Jun then notices Jang Young, who has a broken right arm, and asks him which hand he uses, to which Young Who says that he is a right-hander. Young Jun asks if he will be fine, to which Jang Young Who says that even though he is wounded, he is a wounded tiger and that he will not let go of his prey. This line fires everyone up, and In-sim wonders how Young Who is still so brave with a broken arm. This kind of attitude also impresses Lee Young-jun a lot as he tells everyone to get ready and starts off the hierarchy battle right away, while In-sim is left standing dumbfounded, not knowing what to do. Meanwhile, back in the school, we see the teachers talking in the staff room when a ridiculously huge man enters the room and scares off everyone. The elderly teacher is shocked to know that it's a student, the mysterious first-year transfer student named Nasian Wuk. Back at the first-year hierarchy decider battle, it has started, and it has started off with a bang. We see early dominance from Park Ki-duck as he steamrolls through anyone and everyone, and no one is seen being a match for a monster among men like him. However, the last remaining leader on Park Ki-duck's path to utter dominance in this hierarchy battle is none other than Jang Young-woo, the Bullfist. Lee Young-jun and Koo Jae-hyuk are both excited as they want to fight out who really is the tiger, and who is the prey in this situation. Park Ki-duk says that he will finish off Brokey, referring to Young, who before launching himself forward in order to take on the wounded Bullfist. Park Ki-duk goes for a straight right to the higher midriff area of Young Who, but Young Who blocks it with his broken arm. This hurts Young Who, and he is further pushed away by a kick from Ki-duk, who asks him if that's all that the wounded tiger had to offer. Jang Young, who gets himself prepared as a storm of punches follows from Park Ki-duk as he throws straight rights, left jabs, overhands, hooks, and uppercuts, however failing to connect any of them as Young, who uses his smaller and more agile frame to dodge the punches. However, the constant weaving and dodging annoys Ki-duk, who ends up recollecting himself and throws a massive haymaker of sorts to send Young Who flying back miles and hit the wall. Young Who also draws blood from the blow. Ki-duk is far from human. No wonder they call him the Brown Bear, and he invites Young Who to fight him head-on like a man, as this isn't something for the weak-hearted. Young Who goes forward to attack, but he is met with a barrage of punches from Ki-duk, so Young Who needs to resort to doing a peekaboo-esque style, where he needs to be the counterpuncher. Park Ki-duk sees through this and understands that Young Who is looking for an opening to throw a left hook, and he is ready for it. However, Young Who changes momentum mid-movement, and it seems like that he will hit a hook with his broken right instead. However, it is too late for Ki-duk to protect himself, and Young Who lands a thunderous right hook which drops the monster. Jang Young Who has slayed the beast, or has he? No, because Ki-duk isn't down yet, and he gets right back up to fighting position. He asks if that's all that Young Who has to offer before approaching him and throwing a left hook. That would make Mike Tyson proud. Young Who had severely hurt his right arm from that hook he delivered and failed to put up a proper guard against the shot, and it is enough to knock out the Bullfist. Everyone applauds Park Ki-duk, and Young Jun and Jae Hyuk tell him to organize and report to them from next week onwards, making him the official leader of the first years. People make fun of Young Who, calling him more akin to a punching bag than a tiger. And in Sim, who is worried about his friend, looks at the devilish brown bear that is Park Ki-duk and realizes that he has finally become a high school student. Back at the school, we see that the transfer student Nasian Wuk say that he came all the way from Seoul to Chuching by accident. Later, the teacher tells the class president to show him around the school and take him to the canteen for lunch. The girl is very much intimidated but tries to start a conversation. She asks him what his name is, to which he replies with his name. She also tells him her name, which is Kang Minju. She also asks him if he is from Seoul and tells him that they're gonna have the special pork bun for lunch that day. Nasian Wuk, who is rather inexpressive, shows some hint excitement for the pork bun. However, they have to stand in a huge line. Another guy who is excited to check out the pork bun stands behind them in the line, but he is a prick, so he pushes the poor girl, Kang Minju, and almost makes her fall, but she is caught by Nasian Wuk, like it's a romantic fairy tale. Is the giant man Minju's knight in shining armor? Nasian Wuk asks her if she is okay before asking the guy who pushed her to be careful with his steps. The guy is a delinquent, so he tries to talk crap and intimidate Sian Wuk. However, after looking at him once, he immediately says it was a joke and finds excuses to get out of the way. Meanwhile, Nasian Wuk still has Kang Minju in a princess carry, so she tells him to let her go. Minju then guides Sian Wuk to a table nearby, and they sit down together to eat lunch. Meanwhile, on another table, we see the guy who pushed Minju talk with his friends about what's happening. They say that seeing that huge monster Sian Wuk pisses him off and he can't believe how he behaves. And they also can't handle it how Sian Wuk, from their perspective, has already started getting it on with the very cute Kang Minju. So they decide to mess up Sian Wuk and Minju's time together by going to their bench and interrupting their lunch. The crew shows up and sits beside Minju and Nasian Wuk. They say that they want to be friends and eat together with them, when they're just there to harass them. One of the guys wants them to share food with him and his crew, and they start to tease Kang Minju too by telling her that she looks good with Nasian Wuk. Minju explains to them that Sian Wuk is just a new student she is helping out, but they still make fun of it. This angers Minju, who gets up and says that she doesn't want to eat with them and asks Sian Wuk to leave with her. However, one of the guys curses at her and tells her to sit down and eat nicely or they'll do bad things with them. Nasian Wuk starts eating and he quickly finishes off most of his food, bar the bean sprout soup and pork. One of the jerks tries to take advantage of this and eat up Sian Wuk's share of pork. However, Sian Wuk stops his chopsticks with his own. Sian Wuk's strength is too much and the jerk can't break out of it, but he warns Sian Wuk to leave him or they will mess him up. The jerk then gets his way and eats Sian Wuk's share of the food. However, They leave the bean sprout soup off and instead drop it on Nasian Wuk's head to bully him. However, they've made a mistake and Nasian Wuk gets off from the table and bangs his hand on it. His sheer aura makes the jerks piss their pants. He then asks them if they are picking a fight with him before leaving with Kang Minju. However, this was seen by another delinquent of the school, who was wearing a blue jacket. He saw Nasian Wuk's aura and found it interesting. Meanwhile, we see the first-year members of the gang enter the canteen, led by the brown bear, Park Ki-duck, and everyone else follows him, including Jang Young-hoo and Hwang In-sim. In-sim wonders just what would have happened if Jang Young-hoo's arm didn't get hurt. However, what they see stops them on their tracks and they start spectating it in intrigue. We see that Nasian Wuk is attacked by a chopstick and the guy in a blue jersey dashes forward using his unreal speed to catch the stick and also trying to startle the monster on his path. The man then tells Nasian Wuk that he will leave him go without harming. However, just as he is walking away, Nasian Wuk calls out to him. He tells him that what he did had startled Nasian Wuk and that he doesn't give a damn about the hierarchy and that he will finish him off if he tried that again. Hwang In-sim, one of the spectators, is left dumbfounded by what he had just seen. However, he notices the person in the blue jersey. It's none other than Sudako. Meanwhile, Sudako is pissed off by the blatant show of disrespect from Nasian Wuk and says that he probably has no idea about the rules of the school. He lays down some of the fundamental rules that all juniors should follow with no exceptions, those being: Rule number 1, the juniors should always worship their seniors. Rule number 2, the juniors need to always look up to the seniors at all times. Rule number 3, if you have to fight someone, do it while keeping the respect of the seniors. Rule number 4, do not try to act like you're in the same position as the seniors. And finally, rule number 5, never dare make eye contact with the seniors. After stating all these rules, he says that from now on, Nasian Wuk needs to learn how to respect, and saying so, he dashes right into attacking Nasian Wuk. He uses his incredible speed once again to try and throw a quick and hard punch. However, Nasian Wuk is unbothered by this, and it seems like at the very last second, he calls Sudako slow before easily dodging the punch. Everyone is left baffled as to how the huge monster has the ability to dodge such a quick punch in no time. Nasian Wuk then says that it's his turn to hit, and he gets in perfect position to hit Sudako with a powerful hook punch, but something kicks in inside of him. He remembers a promise he made to someone who was sick in the hospital. He said that he will have a problem-free school life from there onwards. So Nasian Wuk holds back and decides not to punch, and this allows Sudako with a nice opportunity to hit a hook of his own and drop the giant. The feeling is seemingly restored upon seeing the third-year drop the first-year junior. Sudako tells Nasian Wuk that he doesn't care about him being new or anything. He is a third-year student after all. Kang Minju quickly goes over to attend to Nasian Wuk, who is knocked out cold. Lots of people had gathered to see this fight, and the PE teacher notices this and tells everyone that if they have so much energy, they should instead use it in PE class. This brings back everyone to being normal as they walk off. On the other hand, we see Kang Minju carrying out the much bigger Nasian Wuk despite him being heavy. He regains back his senses and asks him if he is okay, to which he gets off of her and instead asks if she is okay. She is slightly flustered by this and says she is fine and says that they should go to the infirmary. However, Nasian Wuk says that they should directly go to class, and Kang Minju ends up agreeing. On the terrace, we see the second-ranked member of the gang, the Korean Beagle, Kim Ji-hee, laying down a vicious beatdown on a guy while Sudako walks by. Kim Ji-hee, while he is still beating up the guy, asks Sudako about what went down, and he explains by saying that a new guy was causing problem and that he had no other choice but to do what he did. Ji-hee asks him if the new guy in question was strong, as he heard the punch that was thrown was very hard. However, Sudako doesn't respond to this. Ji-hee then tells him that Sung-joon has invited Sudako, to which he says they eat too much. However, everything aside, the fact that Nasian Wuk held back was noticed by Sudako somewhat, and that is eating him up from the inside. The scene changes and we see that the classroom is lively as it normally would be, and we then see Kang Minju escorting Nasian Wuk to his seat. She tells him to be seated there and tells him to ask any questions if he has any confusion. She then goes to bring some ointment to treat Nasian Wuk's injury as the man himself sits down. A few moments later, we see that Jang Young-hoo, Hwang In-sim, and the rest of their squad have arrived for the class, and they're all talking amongst themselves until In-sim notices Nasian Wuk and realizes that the guy from earlier hasn't yet left and is in their class. He then makes fun of Nasian Wuk with one of his friends, citing him being dropped by Sudako earlier as a reason for him to be embarrassed. The two break into a giggle, but Jang Young, who tells them to stop talking about people in a negative manner and behave themselves. Things calm down when they sit down on their benches. However, it calms down a little too much for the liking of Hwan and Sim, who feels his life is being sucked out due to the quiet and boring atmosphere. He then decides to liven things up when he sees a nerdy by walking past him by bullying him. Sim tries to hit his back of the head, but the kid crouches down to fix his shoe laces, which sends Sim down tumbling to the floor. Upon getting up, he feels very embarrassed as almost everyone can't contain their laughters due to his stupidness. He tries to blame it on the person on cleanup duty for not cleaning properly, but that doesn't work, so he decides to take out his anger on Nasian Wuk. He goes towards him, calls him a fat ping before smacking Nasian Wuk's head. However, Sim is shocked to see that Sian Wuk didn't even move a little during all this. Sim gives into his anger and temptation and goes to slap him again. However, Sian Wuk counter the move against him and sends Sim flying backwards, as we see the entire classroom's atmosphere change as they can't believe just how strong Sian Wuk is. Young Hoo in particular notices that Sian Wuk was sleeping when Sim attacked him and didn't even notice, and for the second one, his body reacted on instinct and it ended up hurting Sim a lot. Jang Young, who wonders just how much of a beast this new guy is. Next up, we see that the entirety of a class is even quieter and more tense than how it was before. No one is saying a word and everyone seems a bit out of it. Even the teacher who is taking the class is distinctively bothered by this thing, as he can't figure out why the situation is like this. After a while, the teacher has no choice but to ask everyone why they're so quiet, to which a bunch of students aggressively answer that nothing is wrong and everything is fine. We then see a flashback of what went down about 15 minutes ago. There we see that everyone is impressed by the monstrous strength of Nasian Wuk, who had just knocked out Hwang Sim with an uppercut and made him bleed too. It becomes a serious topic of discussion within the class, and one of the guys is also ready to go around the school and spread news of what just went down everywhere. However, Jang Young, who is deeply bothered by this, and he warns everyone, especially the guy who was jumping around and trying to spread the news across the school, that if they talk about this thing, or even thinking of spreading the news to anyone again, they'll have to deal with him. After all, they wouldn't want to date with Young Hoo, right? This scares off everyone in the classroom, as they have to force themselves to get tensed up and forget about what just went down, and while the others are helping clean up the blood of Hwan and Sim and help him get back up and sit on his desk. Then after the class, we see Jang Young Hoo and his crew all gathering outside and talking about what happened. Right then we see Hwang and Sim at the scene too. They ask him if he is fine, but he is left with a huge swollen bump on his left cheek and jaw from the brutal uppercut from Nasian Wuk. He can't even talk properly due to the bump on his jaw and cheek. Young Hoo tells everyone that he wants to know of what happened and what to do about it, and that's why he invited Nasian Wuk himself to the meeting. And just then, the monster like Nasian Wuk arrives to the meeting and the aura of the scenario totally changes. Hwang and Sim is still traumatized by what happened to him, and he refers to Nasian Wuk as a monster and tries to run away comedically from him, saying that he has no other way to go and even falls down while trying to escape. Meanwhile, they ask Nasian Wuk to explain himself, and to their shock, Nasian Wuk ends up introducing himself and asks for their help in living a normal and quiet school life and graduating normally. Jang Young, who listens to this and agrees that he is willing to help him and for him to help them too. It's a mutual deal, and Jang Young, who even puts his hand in friendship forward, which Nasian Wuk accepts. Jang Young, who says that they will all peacefully graduate, but others aren't so sure as to what just happened. Are they gonna make peace with someone who beat up one of their guys? Young Hoo tells them that it wasn't Sim's fault for starting it, and it wasn't intentional from Sian Wook's side either, so they should just bury the hatchet and move on. The member of the crew high-K about it for a hid and accept the truce and working relationship. Meanwhile, some other members of the gang come forth and they join in on the conversation. One of them asks Nasian Wuk if he is aware of the rules of the school, to which Sian Wuk is a bit confused. The guy then takes a deep breath and explains how everything works around at their school. He says that there are too many rules for him to even explain it to him, and for him to understand it, he should learn them himself. However, the most important part of this is that the school has a ranking system for each grade, and that the grades have their own brand sign, those being Falcon, Snake, and Tiger, and that all the grades have their own specific keeters. He says that the leader for the first class was decided only some time ago. Nasian Wuk asks who the leader of the first years is, to which he says that it's the brown bear, Park Ki-duk, an ignorant man. Nasian Wuk asks if the leadership will last forever, to which the guy says that if they want to take Park Ki-duk out of the power, they have to challenge him to a one-on-one fight and beat him, which is by no means an easy task as the guy is very strong. He then goes on to say that the school life of students depend on who the leader is, and just as he is about to say more bad things about him, Park Ki-duk shows up with his crew and asks them what they're doing. To which Jang Young, who defiantly questions back why Park Ki-duk and his squad is there instead. Park Ki-duk smiles and says that they don't know their roles in the group and asks Young Who to go buy food for him. Young Who says there is no need for that as he won't be satisfied with a small snack. This pisses off Park Ki-duk because he is being talked back to. However, another voice is heard and it tells everyone to stop gathering around like this. Park Ki-duk wonders who spoke up against him this time. And it is no one else but Nasian Wuk, who tells everyone to not make anyone uncomfortable. This angers Park Ki-duk beyond limits, as he is about to fight Nasian Wuk for misbehaving with him. However, that doesn't happen because one of Park Ki-duk's crew members asks to be the one taking care of Nasian Wuk instead. Despite the guy being less than half the size of Nasian Wuk, he is still confident that he will be able to take care of and bully Nasian Wuk easily. He starts off by making fun of Nasian Wuk's weight. He calls him a ping, and when Nasian Wuk doesn't reply to him, he says that Nasian Wuk must be hearing impaired thanks to being overweight and that he has man boobs. He still can't get under his skin, so he decides to go even lower and attack his clothing sense. He starts off by picking up the cap of Nasian Wuk a little to see his face, then he checks out the labels of the cap and asks if it is some cheap cap he had gotten from the roadside. This angers Nasian Wuk, who doesn't say a lot, but he tells the chump to put the cap back on Sian Wuk's head just like how it was. The guy, quivering in fear, ends up doing just as Sian Wuk ordered him to. This pisses off the boss, Park Ki-duk, who asks him what the hell he is up to and tells everyone to get ready because they're about to attack Nasian Wuk and Jang Young, whose crew. However, at that very moment, a very attractive young lady calls out Park Ki-duk's name. The brown boss starts blushing right away seeing So-hyun, the pretty girl from first year. The girl looks like she is phoning it in, and she even takes a glance at Nasian Wuk, who she refers to as a fat pig. But the girl then tells Park Ki-duk that as someone named Mistook wants to see him. She then immediately corrects herself and says that it is Suzy who wants to see him. Ki-duk knows that Park Suzy is one of the most attractive girls around, and he can't believe his luck, and lured in by that, he decides to go with them. Before going though, Park Ki-duk tells everyone in his crew to finish the job with Jang Young Woo and his guys before he comes back. And this one order from the boss fires up everyone as they're looking forward to fight. The chump who tried bullying Nasian Wuk before quickly runs away and leaves the scene because he doesn't want to fight Sian Wuk. The rest are eager though, but they try masking it by saying that they have to attack their friends because it's the boss order, and if you go against that, the boss will severely punish you. That's the rule. One of the guy punches the guy who was explaining the rules to Sian Wuk right in the guts and sends him packing. They slowly start gearing up everyone one by one when Nasian Wuk tells them to stop. He tells them that a real friend would never bully their friends. This makes everyone in the opposite crew laugh in amusement, but Nasian Wuk isn't messing around, and he says that from now on, he will start asserting control. Back at the school, we see the leader of the second years, Young Jun, talking to one of the third year guys. Young Jun tells him that Park Ki-duk has been selected as the leader of the first years as he is the strongest from that year. The third year guy then asks Young Jun if Park Ki-duk is stronger than he is. Young Jun says that despite being very strong, Park Ki-duk is just a first-year student and thus has a lot more to develop. This makes the third-year guy happy as he is stronger than another guy. However, Young Jun does add that Park Ki-duk is in a league of his own amongst the first years. Meanwhile, we go back to the fight outside of the school where Nasian Wuk tells everyone that bullies aren't his friends and that he will start subjugating from now on. After saying this, Nasian Wuk hilariously breaks into a strep dancing routine. His dancing leaves everyone baffled as to why he is doing it, but it's a good diversion for him to put out sand everywhere to blur everyone's vision. Suddenly, one of the guys sees Nasian Wuk's silhouette and tries to attack it. However, the big guy is too nimble on his feet, and he hits the empty air. The guy is shocked and is wondering where Nasian Wuk disappeared to, before Nasian Wuk suddenly appears behind him and smashes him down to the ground. This puts everyone on notice as they realize that they're being hunted by a monster. Next up, Nasian Wuk hits another guy in the chest and sends him flying back into a wall. Such is his strength. Everyone is terrorized by his power, and slowly, one by one, he takes out every viable threat. Then the guys from Jang Young, whose crew, talks to Nasian Wuk, telling him that what he did might have been too much, as if the seniors hears about this, it will definitely anger them, and then it will be the end for them. After all, they're gonna be no match for the seniors. Jang Young, who defends Nasian Wuk though, saying that what Nasian Wuk did was necessary, and if he hadn't done it, Young who would have done it himself. That is when we see one of the remaining guys from Park Ki-duk's squad trying to escape when he finds Hwang In-sim, who had just got up from falling down earlier. The guy then frames Hwang In-sim as the boss of the rebel crew and labels him as the main perpetrator of everything and takes him with him to Park Ki-duk. After taking Hwang In-sim to Park Ki-duk, the chump blames it all on Hwang In-sim, saying it was him who attacked them. He has seen him do it with his own 2 eyes, and he also says that In-sim is the boss of the crew that rebelled against Park Ki-duk's leadership. Park Ki-duk finds all of this kind of hard to digest, as he can't comprehend how a loser like Hwang In-sim could be behind such a huge beatdown. And In-sim himself denies all the allegations. However, the chump says he is 100% sure that In-sim is the boss of this rebellion. Despite finding it hard to believe, Park Ki-duk is in a spot where he must make a decision and punish Hwang In-sim, and just at that very moment, Jang Young who arrives at the site. Young who tells Park Ki-duk that both of them know it very well that someone like Hwang In-sim is not behind this attack. That is when the chump starts saying that he might have gotten the wrong guy, even though he insisted that he was 100% sure that it was In-sim who was the boss and the main perpetrator. Park Ki-duk approaches Jang Young, who says that he found it hard to believe that In-sim did that too, and it's a bigger possibility that Young who was the one behind it. Young who then tells Ki-duk to let Hwang In-sim go. He says that he will take responsibility for everything that went down, only if Park Ki-duk promises to spare all the other guys from his crew. He also says that he is willing to do anything that Park Ki-duk asks him to do. Ki-duk is surprised how Young who is taking it all on his shoulders, despite knowing all too well that Park Ki-duk needs to do nothing but just tell the seniors about what Jang Young who did, and they'll take care of the rest. However, as he says that he will do anything, Park Ki-duk decides to let Hwang In-sim go. Hwang In-sim leaves the site, and before going, he thanks Jang Young who for saving him from this mess. After he leaves, Ki-duk says that as Young who is willing to do anything, he will do so. Park Ki-duk then tells his crew to start off with some light work on Jang Young who. One of the guys steps forward and delivers a front push kick to the midsection of Jang Young who. Young who goes down from the kick, and everyone starts kicking and stomping mud holes into him, while Young who just lays down there and endures the pain. This, however, pisses off Park Ki-duk, who thinks it's just Young who showing off, so he goes forwards and yoinks one of his crew members off of Jang Young who, before telling him that even Ki-duk can endure pain like that, it's no big deal. Before grabbing one of Jang Young who's feet and twisting it hard to break his bone. Later, we see Jang Young whose crew rush to a hospital where they find Jang Young who, smirking while lying on a bed with his arm and leg broken. Everyone goes into panic seeing their friend like that, and Young-tae immediately understands who are behind this. He vows to take revenge on them, but Jang Young who interrupts and tells them that it has already been solved and there's no need to mess it up any further. Young-tae is still adamant, as he wants to do something about what Park Ki-duk and his crew did to Young who, but Young who tells him to calm down and understand the situation. There's nothing needed for him to do as things stand. Young-tae says that the guys have crossed their lines and even broke Young who's foot, but Young who lies to them by saying that he got the broken foot by falling off a motorcycle while riding it. Young-tae, clueless, asks Jang Young who just what they can do from now on, because they don't even know if the guys will stop hurting him even after this, and if they'll have anything to do about it. Young who laughs and says that they shouldn't worry because once Young whose body is all healed up, he will apply for the BTS, and besides, he is happy about getting a break here, because he has been doing school regularly and a break was needed. After hearing this, Nasian Wuk slowly walks out of the room and is on his way out of the hospital too, but he is chased down by Young-tae who asks him where he is going. After that, Young-tae goes on a rant while everyone inside the room listens as well. He says that everything that happened has happened because of him, and if it weren't for Jang Young who stopping them, the crew would have already stabbed out Nasian Wuk long ago. Young-tae further adds that Jang Young who never even considered Nasian Wuk a friend to begin with, and if he causes any more trouble to them, Young-tae will just go and tell the seniors about the fact that it was Nasian Wuk who attacked Park Ki-duk's spot. Nasian Wuk stares back at Young-tae, which scares him a little, but Nasian Wuk goes on to apologize for what he caused. He says that he is a bad person and he only gets into the zone when he is being a bad person. However, he tells Young Tae to not worry and says that he will show them what he does to people who mess with his friends. He says that he will join the BTS battle target system and will challenge the champion Park Ki-duk to a match. He says that from now on, he will show what self-defense is. Next up, we learn that the battle target system, most commonly known as the BTS, has some rules that need to be followed at all costs. Those rules being rule number 1, only circle members chosen and approved by the third-year students get to attend this momentous event. Rule number 2, if a challenger appears and wants a shot at the champion must accept that challenge and fight the underdog. It is also to be noted that everyone gets one chance at the current champion, so no repeats. Rule number 3, the fights in the B.Ts are always contested in a bare fist, bare bodies manner. However, it is contested in a fair manner. Rule number 4, if a new leader is born from the B.Ts fights, everyone in that grade should respect them and be considered as the leader of the squad. And finally, and most importantly, the king is the main man, and all rules and regulations were made by him. Then we see that all of this was just blabbering from Jang Young, who does it in front of a lot of people in the hospital, and this makes everyone think that he has some serious mental issue from being bit on the head. Soon, Hwang in Sim video calls Jang Young, who from the site of the BTS, and we see Nasian Wuk walking around in that video call. Young, who wonders just why is Nasian Wuk doing what he is doing. At the site of the BTS, we hear constant chirping from everyone, and they're all talking about how a relative nobody in Nasian Wuk, who just transferred in 2 days ago, gets a shot at Park Ki-duk's clown, who hasn't even had the time to have a celebration party for becoming the leader of the first grade. However, it's the boss who approved it, so no one can say anything. We then learn that the seniors are coming, and soon we see several second-year students come in to watch the fight, which includes the captain of the 1998 born students, second year's Oh Chong-suk. We also see the second year's beauty queen, Park Suzy, watching the matchup, and she notices Nasian Wuk and wonders why the fat pig is doing what he is doing, but when he looks at her, she just admits that Nasian Wuk is exactly her type and jumps around in love. Park Ki-duk also notices this and is pissed off. We then have the second years asking Nasian Wuk to bow for them, and after that, they go get seated. They wonder why Nasian Wuk is causing so much trouble, and they find it crazy that he is coming for BTS so early on. Just then, they all realize that the senior most people are here too. They all get up and down for the third years. This includes the 6th place, Park Hong do the 5th place, Choi Do Hyun, 4th place Ju Tae Yong, 3rd place Park Chun Sikian, 2nd place Kim Tae Hee, and to everyone's surprise, the 97 captain, the king of the entire school, is here too. Everyone is taken over by his sheer aura, and they all bow down for the king, Ma Suk Pil. Ma Suk Pil sits down, and everyone, including Hwan and Sim, is still in awe, as he wonders just how cool the king of the school is. Ma Suk Pil says that he will keep it short and sweet. He says that it has been a while since the last battle target system event. He says many of them might be wondering why a virtual nobody is getting a shot at the crown of being the 99 boss. Then he changes his mood and goes serious to say that it doesn't matter because the king of the school, has approved of it. He then orders the match to commence. The match is going to be officiated by the trustworthy Young Jun, who says that the match will be held for the crown of Park Ki-duk, and the underdog challenger in this case is Nasian Wuk. He explains that the matches continue until one of them gets knocked down or if any of them decide to surrender. He further adds that as the referee, if he calls for the stoppage for one reason or another, that will also be considered a finish. He then pokes at their crotches and says that they can attack anywhere but there, and so the first-year BTS fight begins now. The fight starts right then and there, and it's Park Ki-duk on the attack. He isn't one for measuring up for anything. He just shuffles forward and starts with a cross right that is blocked by Nasian Wuk's massive forearms. However, Park Ki-duk isn't one to stop after one punch, so he goes forward on the attack again and keeps hitting non-stop lefts and rights to Nasian Wuk, who is once again using his big girthy forearms to take the damage instead of his face. The unloading continues, and after a while, Park Ki-duk loads up a big right cross. He twists his body and lands it with as much power as he could have. However, that is also blocked by Nasian Wuk. This time though, the sheer impact of the punch from Park Ki-duk pushes Nasian Wuk a few feet back. This riles up the crowd, especially the ones cheering for Park Ki-duk, as they're proud of their boss putting on a show. But people with a better understanding of the fight game knows that the one in the advantage isn't Park Ki-duk, it's Nasian Wuk. Park Ki-duk went all out and threw out all his best hits with as much power he had, which in result has worn him out and he seems like he is at a lack of stamina. Whereas, Nasian Wuk stood his ground and while the punches definitely hurt his forearms, it still made sure that Park Ki-duk didn't hit his vital spots and hence, he is still standing in a much better physical and mental condition than Park Ki-duk. Park Ki-duk understands that there is something wrong. He is at a lack of breathe, whereas none of his best shots did any particular damage to Nasian Wuk. He understands that despite landing more blows to Nasian Wuk, he is the one who is feeling like he got hit. Then some trash talking ensues as the normally quiet Nasian Wuk tells Park Ki-duk that if he willingly gives up and apologizes here, Nasian Wuk will spare him. This angers Park Ki-duk, but he is unable to act on that anger due to the lack of stamina. Park Ki-duk wonders why it is that way for him. Was it because of what Sudako said before the fight? Did that get to him? We see a mini flashback to 3 hours before the fight, where Park Ki-duk was walking with his minions in the hallway. They were curious as to who this Nasian Wuk guy was, and they get to know that it was the guy who got knocked out by Sudako in the canteen. They understand that the fight is unnecessary, but it's still gonna be a cakewalk for Ki-duk. That is when one of the minions run into Sudako, who commands for their respect and wants to be addressed as Hyeongnim, which is an honorific for seniors in Korea. However, Ki-duk squares up to Dako. Dako asks Ki-duk if he is the so-called Captain 99, to which Park Ki-duk says that he is glad to meet a relic of the past on his way. This makes Sudako act up, as he uses his speed to seemingly go for a punch. Ki-duk notices and goes to hit one himself, but they both stop. However, it was evident that Sudako would have landed the pinch before Ki-duk. Dako tells Ki-duk that he won't be able to beat the challenger in his upcoming BTS debut, because he just isn't up to the task. He says that Park Ki-duk can't even handle a relic of the past on his own, so there is no way he will be able to handle his challenger before walking off. Ki-duk's minions tell him that it's just Dako talking crap, and that Dako is no match for him. However, this has seemingly got into Park Ki-duk's head as he wonders if he will be able to win his bout against Nasian Wuk. Back to the fight, Nasian Wuk asks for an answer to the question he asked to Park Ki-duk about apologizing, and this fires him up. Park Ki-duk, with adrenaline running through his veins, goes full beast mode and throws a super strong and hard combo of punches to Nasian Wuk. He goes all out. However, the result isn't much different. The combo of punches seem to have no effect on Nasian Wuk, and this totally breaks down the confidence Ki-duk had. Nasian Wuk asks Ki-duk if that's all he had and says that he absorbed everything he threw at him. Nasian Wuk then says that he is done absorbing and now it's his time to dish out some divine beatdown on the guy who messed with his friends. Nasian Wuk uses his unreal agility to dash forward towards Park Ki-duk, loads up his right hand, and did what could only be called as an unusual but utterly devastating move. Nasian Wuk uses only his right arm to throw rapid and precise crosses to Park Ki-duk with incomprehensible strength and destroys the leader for the first years. Park Ki-duk is left groggy and bloody as he drops down to a knee, and Nasian Wuk again tells him that he will stop it right here if Ki-duk gives up and apologizes. He then goes to light up a cigarette but is stopped because it is against the rules to do that during a BTS bout. Whereas Park Ki-duk goes into a crisis thinking if an unsinkable ship like him finally got sunk by the immovable object that is Nasian Wuk. He then fights back against his urge to lay down and gets back up, refusing to quit. He goes dirty and brings out a pointy and sharp brass knuckle, puts it on and lands a Superman punch on Nasian Wuk's face, leaving him with a nasty cut. Nasian Wuk falls down and we see the floor they were fighting on getting covered in his blood. Everyone is dumbfounded by what just happened. Everyone thinks it is cheating and warrants a disqualification. No way will Park Ki-duk get away with cheating, right? The usage of foreign object in a fight truly pisses off the referee, Young-jun. He curses out on Park Ki-duk and says that he can't let him get away after doing this in such a sacred fight. Just as he was about to call the fight off for good, someone tells him to let the fight continue. That someone in this case is the 97 captain, Ma Suk-pil. The king tells Young-jun to let the fight roll on as it is. This confuses everyone in the audience as they can't understand why the boss would order for the fight to continue when Park Ki-duk clearly cheated. Young-jun also tries to explain to Suk-pil that the BTS stage is sacred and such act is considered against the rule, but this angers the king, who curses out loudly and shouts for the fight to continue despite the cheating. The shout from Ma Suk-pil is so powerful that people can feel the effect of it physically, such as the aura of the king of the school. Young Jun, overwhelmed by that said aura, lets the fight continue, and this allows Park Ki-duk to take control of the fight, as he can now do anything. Meanwhile, in the hospital, we see that Jang Young, who is getting off his bed in anger of what is going down, and Hwang In-sim in the arena is seen on his knees from the impact of what happened. The King Suk-pil is clearly on board to see some more violence as he orders Park Ki-duk to finish off Nasian Wuk for good. Park Ki-duk wants to do the same as well, and he goes for the final blow to finish it, but before he could hit Nasian Wuk with it, Young-tae valiantly jumps in between them and takes a wicked shot to the side of the head with the brass knuckles on from Ki-duk. Young-tae is immediately knocked out by this, and his friends are left even more vulnerable. Park Ki-duk's hand is now filled with the blood of his enemy, and he is seen like a man possessed. Whereas Ma Suk-pil is enjoying every moment of it and wants Park Ki-duk to finish off this whole thing right away. Right then we see a flashback where a child Park Ki-duk is being assaulted by an abusive father. We learn that growing up, his life was a living hell. His father would call him useless, and that caused him a lot of pain. However, as he matured up little by little, he discovered a tenacious side to him. He would go into organized fight between delinquent groups and knock out all his opponents with ease. This would get him acknowledged by everyone, and it would make him feel not useless. He would finally feel like there was something for him in life, and hence he vowed to always win no matter what, to keep getting acknowledged by people, or else he will become useless. And so we are back to the present, where we see Park Ki-duk ready to do anything to win. However, Nasian Wuk is back up, and he isn't holding back any words. He tells Park Ki-duk that he had given Ki-duk a chance to finish him off. However, that opportunity was blown by him, and with that it's his time to bring back Park Ki-duk to the good side with some righteous hits. And thus Nasian Wuk readies himself to take on Park Ki-duk. Park Ki-duk rushes in to finish off Nasian Wuk with the brass knuckles. However, Nasian Wuk uses a simple technique. He takes a step back and makes Park Ki-duk miss, and taking the step back allows him to gain even more power to put into the blow that will cleanse Park Ki-duk. As everyone is in awe of what is transpiring before their eyes, Nasian Wuk loads up and delivers a straight right that knocks Park Ki-duk out into oblivion. And your winner and the new champion of the 99 batch is Nasian Wuk. Just as the bell rings and Nasian Wuk is announced as the winner, we see it all from Park Susie's point of view. She sees Nasian Wuk as her ideal man. He is like a tiger to her, and unlike most girls who like guys with rock-hard abs, she actually likes the fat belly of Nasian Wuk's. So when Nasian Wuk wins and is announced as the new 99 captain, she can't help but show her excitement and delight for him. However, she notices that others are seeing her getting all riled up and gets embarrassed. The next day, school is normal as usual. We see kids from the first year go to their classes, but when they slide the door open, they see the sight of the beautiful Park Susie sitting at their classroom, and not to mention, she is talking to and looks heavily interested in Nasian Wuk of all people. Susie is clearly in love with him, and when one of the students musters up the courage and tells her to give him his seat to sit for the class, she shows her intimidating side and says that if a guy like him tries to talk with her again, she will finish him off for good. The guy quickly moves back as we see Susie talking to Nasian Wuk. She asks him if he is from Gyeonggi-do or if he is from Seoul City. All of this is met with silence as usual from Nasian Wuk. Just then we see a healthier Jang Young who come to the classroom and asking Park Susie to leave the classroom as their class will start soon. Susie is mad and calls him an idiot, but Young, who isn't scared, and says that he will not tolerate being called an idiot by her. Nasian Wuk then speaks up and kindly tells Park Susie to leave as they want to study. Susie says that Nasian Wuk is nerdier than she thought, but she will leave if he gives her his phone number, to which Nasian Wuk does so. This makes Park Susie very happy as she gets up and leaves. She also calls Nasian Wuk honey, which burns a lot of people's backsides in jealousy. Meanwhile, we see Kang Minju, who sees all this seem a bit jealous too, as she had bought things to give to Nasian Wuk, but it seems like they're of no use now. A little while later, a messenger is sent to class 1 to 2, and he delivers the message to the crew of Park Ki-duk that the boss, Nasian Wuk, has told everyone to gather at the auditorium. This makes all the minions of Park Ki-duk worry, as they don't know what will happen to them now that Nasian Wuk is the 99 captain, and some of them wish to quit, while others wish they were nicer to Nasian Wuk when they had the chance. Anyhow, that doesn't matter now, and they all go to the auditorium anyway, as it's the boss order for them. At the auditorium, they see every first-year student gathered together, whereas Jang Young-hoo and his crew are standing up front and the 99 captain, Nasian Wuk, on the stage. Nasian Wuk then starts his speech by shouting out, "I" loudly. This makes the whole thing a bit awkward, but he quickly introduces himself as Nasian Wuk of Seoul and says that he is pleased to meet his friends. The students reply back by saying that they're pleased to meet the boss. However, Nasian Wuk quickly corrects them and says that he is not their boss, he is just their friend. Everyone is left confused, but Nasian Wuk continues by saying that he doesn't intend to be the boss and just wants to be friends with everybody. He says that they should all work together nicely and peacefully and don't follow some regime. He says that everyone should help each other, and even if they feel like they don't need others, they'll definitely end up needing them in the future. He says that they all will work out together. They might even fight sometimes, but they need to make sure that they don't take away money from any of the students. He tells everyone to remember that it is strong against strong and weak against weak as their motto. He then goes on to say that they should all be good friends and should strive to graduate nicely by the time comes for them to do so. He then says that if everyone is in agreement with him, they should all wholeheartedly yell "I" at unison. Park Ki-duk squad is cringed out by this and wonders what's this "I" thing he always talks about. Nasian Wuk then yells out "I" with Jang Young-hoo and friends. The rest of the first-year students then follow in and everyone yells "I" in unison for the start of Nasian Wuk's reign as the 99 captain. A week has passed since Nasian Wuk took over control as the head of the first year and became Captain 99. And everything is going peacefully. Everyone is getting along with everyone and bullying has gone down by a lot. In fact, we are seeing that nerdy kids are being given attention by others instead of getting bullied like how they usually would. We also see Park Suzy, who is still after Nasian Wuk, come to the first-year classroom to talk with him. Suzy calls him honey and asks Nasian Wuk if he has any plans for the day. Nasian Wuk doesn't reply as usual, but Park Suzy keeps getting closer and closer to him, asking if he wants to join her for a karaoke session. And finally, she asks Nasian Wuk if he wants to join her at a love hotel room in an attempt to seduce him. However, Nasian Wuk isn't one to be seduced, so he swiftly declines the offer, saying that he has an appointment to attend to. Park Suzy is curious and asks Nasian Wuk what kind of appointment it is. She also turns on her serious mode for a bit, asking with a stern face if Nasian Wuk has a meeting with a girl. If so, she wants to know who it is that is in her path. Nasian Wuk tells her that he has an appointment to study, which calms things down a bit, but it angers Park Suzy again when Nasian Wuk says that he has a study session with Kang Minju. Park Suzy is mad, but upon seeing the needy and introverted vibes of Kang Minju from afar, she doesn't feel threatened and tells him it is fine to go on and study with her. However, she asks Nasian Wuk when he is going to go out with her and play with her, to which the Captain 99 says that he will do so tomorrow. However, Jang Young-hoo interferes in this conversation and tells Park Suzy that he is sorry to inform her that Nasian Wuk will be playing with them tomorrow instead of her. This really angers Park Suzy, as she tells Jang Young-hoo that she doesn't want to listen to anything from him and that if he ever tries to talk to her again, it will mean serious business. Jang Young-hoo is a bit taken aback after she behaves with him in this manner. The scene changes and we see Nasian Wuk and Kang Minju walk together after the day at school. They walk together, but there's a sense of quietness between them, which is broken off by Kang Minju when she asks Nasian Wuk if it is okay for them to walk together and study together. Nasian Wuk is confused by this and he asks why. Kang Minju explains that them doing this together might cause misunderstandings among people, and further on, it might make Park Suzy uncomfortable as well. This once again doesn't register with Nasian Wuk, who doesn't see an issue with this. There's a sense of sadness in the way Kang Minju says this, but she says that she is just Nasian Wuk's study tutor after all. But in a rare moment of Nasian Wuk showing his emotions, we see him suddenly pat Kang Minju and tell her that she is cute. This obviously makes Kang Minju blush a lot, and this makes her happy, so they go on to study at a nearby cafe. It's English day for Kang Minju and Nasian Wuk today, and so we see Kang Minju tutoring him in English. She teaches him some basic English phrases and how it could be used in daily life. However, she sees that Nasian Wuk is tired and is yawning, so Kang Minju tells him that they've studied enough for the day as it is already getting late and they both have more work to do. Nasian Wuk agrees and tells her to get going as he gets up to leave. Kang Minju opens her bag to see all the medications and band-aids she had bought for Nasian Wuk when he was hurt. However, she didn't have the required courage to give it to him. Now, however, She sees a good opportunity to do so, so she goes ahead, brings them out, and gives them to Nasian Wuk, who asks what those are. Then Kang Minju explains that she bought these things for him when he got injured. Nasian Wuk tells her that he has all this medications as they were given to him by Suzy. This upsets Kang Minju a little bit, who starts recollecting the stuff she brings out, but Nasian Wuk, who takes in all of RHE medications from her and says that he will remember to take them when necessary. This brings the smile back to Kang Minju's face. On the other hand, we see 3 of Park Ki-duk's lackeys trying to contact Park Ki-duk, but to no avail. It seems like Park Ki-duk has disappeared almost. One of the guys from the group suggested that why don't they just join up with Nasian Wuk and his squad, because after all, Nasian Wuk is different from Park Ki-duk and they could live the way they wanted to. However, the other guy shut this down, stating that they'll never be able to do the things they want outside of Park Ki-duk's reign. Just as he is about to say more, a guy runs into him and hurts his arm. This changes their attention, and we see that the guy and his crew are angry because of it. The boy with the afro tries to apologize and move on, but they don't want that. They try to go away after this, but the older guys stop them, and this angers the boy with the afro, but his friends make him understand that fighting won't help them. So the boy with the afro apologizes again, only for the older guys to get to their face and start bullying them more. One of the other guys tries to come in and apologize, but he is punched straight in the face by the guy who ran into them first, saying that he doesn't want someone else to apologize. This in turn also angers the afro boy, who starts fighting with the older guys because of it. However, he is no match for the older kids, and they take him down quickly and are about to stomp him viciously. With no option left to go with, he sees a brick and tries to go and attack his opponents with the piece of brick, but it doesn't work out. To save the day, however, comes Sudako. Dako comes in, politely asks them to create separation as he has called the police, and as this goes on, Sudako then threatens the older guys, saying that if they don't leave peacefully, he will show them what he can do to them. We learn that Sudako had no interest in this fight and wouldn't even interfere in it. However, when he saw that one of the kids was trying to use a brick to save himself and how that could go very wrong, he decided to intervene. We then see that one of the kids thanks Sudako for helping them out, and Sudako tells them to forget about it and go back home. Then all 3 of the Park Ki-duk squad members bow down and thank Sudako for what he did for them, but Dako doesn't pay attention and goes on ahead. Then the Afro kid notices that Dako is leaving, and he remembers a valuable thing that was said to him, that being don't ever do anything that you'll end up regretting. And so to not have any regrets, he calls out Sudako and then sincerely thanks Sudako for what he did for him. Sudako is a bit taken aback by this, and he can't quite express how he feels about this except for the fact that he feels like an old man because of it. Right then, Sudako's boss from work calls him and tells him to get back on chopping duty because work's at a restaurant, and Sudako obliged. The trio then also decide to go home for the day. They text each other that they'll be looking for Park Ki-duk soon, and etc. when the Afro kid sees the same bullies who were after him a few minutes back were standing in a narrow alley, but this time they were teasing a white-haired girl. It seems like the Afro-haired knows who this young girl is. He says that he told her not to bring any guys near their house. However, he quickly notices that the girl didn't bring the guys along with her. Instead, the guys were forcefully teasing her, asking her out for a drink among other things. The girl is against this, as she tells them not to do this over and over again, but the guys keep teasing her regardless. At one point, the bullies are annoyed by the girl's constant protection of herself, and the main bully decides to hit her to teach her a lesson on how to act with a guy. As the guy is about to slap her, Afro Kid jumps right in the spot to take the slap for her and save her. The girl is surprised as she doesn't understand where did the Afro Kid come from, but the Afro Kid is here to save her. The main bully notices the guy and recognizes him from before and goes after him to attack him, labeling him as a stalker. However, the kid says that he has already called the police and they'll be coming soon. This angers the main bully as he won't fall for the same trick twice, and he responds to this with a thunderous straight punch which sends the Afro Kid back a few yards. This makes the white-haired girl go into panic as she calls the Afro Kid a crazy jerk. However, her behavior, alongside the Afro Kid's behavior, is getting on everyone's nerves. So the main bully rushes towards the girl and loads up his fist to deliver a similar kind of punch to her. However, Afro Kid gets up and interrupts again, resulting in the bully changing directions and deliver an improvised hook to him instead, which sends him down to the ground. The main bully then approaches Afro Kid again before delivering another jaw-shattering hook to send Afro Kid down again. And this time, he starts raining attacks on the Afro Boy as well. Afro Boy, like before, also sees a way out of it, this time with a rock. He plans on using it to finish off the bully for good, but he remembers the valuable words from before, the ones that told him not to do anything that he will regret, so reluctantly enough he has to give up on that plan. Just at that moment, a policeman strolling by spots the beatdown taking place and he quickly comes running over to stop it. The bullies use this chance to escape. The policeman then attends to Afro Kid and picks him up, for which the Afro Kid thanks the policeman. This shocks the white-haired girl as she can't believe that Afro Kid is now able to thank people. Afro Kid tells her to not make fun of her and just go to where they are supposed to go. Afro Kid then asks her to make some food for him in exchange for him helping her out. Later on at the school, we see that Afro Kid, whose name is Deok-gu, meets up with his two other friends and they talk about how Deok-gu ran into those same bullies again later, and Deok-gu tells them how he has a very crappy luck, which is why he always manages to get into trouble. Just then, their crew notices that Nasian Wuk and his squad are coming through, and in order to show respect they step aside and close their eyes. Deok-gu in particular is very scared and hopes that Nasian Wuk goes by quickly. However, upon opening his eyes, he sees Nasian Wuk standing very close to him. Seeing Nasian Wuk's face gives him a jump scare. However, Nasian Wuk is there to tell him that they don't need to step aside and make way for them because after all they're friends, and friends don't do that for other friends. Nasian Wuk then notices the bandages on Deok-gu's face and asks him who had caused these to him. Deok-gu lies and says that it was due to him falling downstairs, but Nasian Wuk doesn't believe him. He keeps getting closer and closer to Deok-gu while asking the same question as before. Deok-gu keeps denying it before Nasian Wuk shouts J at his face for some reason. Deok-gu is shocked and asks what J means, to which Nasian Wuk shouts even louder this time. Nasian Wuk then says that he will take care of the guy who caused such harm to his friend. Deok-gu once again says that it was caused by a fall down from the stairs. Nasian Wuk then asks Deok-gu if he brushed his teeth earlier in the morning. Despite being a weird question, Deok-gu answers saying that he didn't brush. This makes Nasian Wuk scream again. Then Deok-gu checks to see that everyone else is on board too, as Nasian Wuk once again declares that he will take care of whoever that causes harm to his friends in any way. Then we see the entirety of the crew, including Deok-gu and his two friends, walk down the busy streets of the area to look for the bully who had caused trouble to Deok-gu and his friends. The situation is serious, and right then, Hwang-in-sim asks for everyone's attention. After getting it, he asks everyone if they've heard it. Everyone is visibly and rightfully confused about this. Jang Young-woo asks what it is about, and Hwang-in-sim replies by saying that it's about the sound of his youthful blood boiling and how it is getting very hot. Everyone is cringed out by this, but Hwang-in-sim is really in the mood for some fun today. While messing around, Hwang-in-sim finds a beautiful Nuna, which is a way to refer to women older than you, standing by the side of the street. Ever the simp, Hwang-in-sim goes to approach her and asks her if she's free or not. However, the woman is very much disgusted by Hwang-in-sim's appearance and behavior, so much so that she cusses him out and calls him an ugly loser. She also can't believe how someone as peculiar as Hwang-in-sim would have the courage to approach her. And to put the final nail in the coffin, she says that looking at Hwang-in-sim makes her want to puke. Hwang-in-sim is devastated after getting berated like that, and his friends can't believe how stupid he is for trying what he tried. Meanwhile, we see Deok-gu telling Nasian Wuk that he doesn't have to do so much for them as it's not that big of a deal. Even Deok-gu's friends tell him that it's not that big of a deal, and that even if they try to search here, there is no guarantee that they'll actually find him. Nasian Wuk ignores the request and instead tells Deok-gu that he would like to go somewhere nice after they're done with this thing. Then we see that Deok-gu is speechless for a bit. Nasian Wuk notices this and asks Deok-gu if something is wrong, to which Deok-gu points at the nearby bar and says that the bullies who they are looking for just went inside. Nasian Wuk then tells everyone to get ready, and all of them are, except for Maybe-in-sim, who is too heartbroken and growls to hype them up as they march towards the bar. Upon arriving to the door, Nasian Wuk and crew are stopped by the bouncers of the bar, telling them that they can't enter the bar as they're students. Nasian Wuk tells them that they're looking for someone, but the bouncers don't care. They say that it's none of their business whether they're looking for someone or not. Then at that moment, Nasian Wuk uses his special technique. His eyes glow and become yellow like that of a tiger as he uses the sexy tiger eyes technique to tell the bouncers to move out of the way. And surprisingly enough, this technique works, as the people who look at the sexy tiger eyes are immediately encapsulated by its beauty. This shocks everyone at the bar, and they go in ahead to find the bullies who attacked Deok-gu. We see that the bullies are inside a room, consuming alcohol and flirting with girls while they're at it. The main bully brags to his girl about him meeting that weird guy again yesterday and how he totally beat him to a pulp and left him incapacitated. The girl finds this very funny. However, her and everyone else chokes on their mug of alcohol as they see the creepy image of Nasian Wuk checking them out from behind the door. Nasian Wuk then slowly enters the room and checks out stuff, and the main bully asks him just who the heck he is, and then he sees that a very injured Deok-gu and guesses that it is the guy from yesterday who he had beaten up badly, and he assumes that he has told his friends in hope of getting some sweet revenge. The bully calls Deok-gu a stupid idiot and makes more fun of him. Nasian Wuk says that he doesn't really want anything from these guys, and that he is willing to leave if he apologizes right now. This makes the bullies laugh, and especially the main bully's girl, who laughs at it and says that it is a joke. This pisses off the 99 Captain Nasian Wuk, as he tells her that it's none of her business and that should not stick her nose into it. He says that Hole using the sexy tiger eyes, so the girl immediately listens to his order and falls for the tiger eyes. This bothers the main bully, who bangs the mug onto the table before getting up. He starts cussing out loudly and starts approaching Nasian Wuk, who is unbothered by all this. Still cussing, the bully gets closer to Nasian Wuk, and Nasian Wuk just asks him a simple question. He said that he just wants a basic apology from them. Is it really that hard to do it? He asks. This angers the bully beyond limits, as he loads up a huge punch and is about to attack the stomach area of Nasian Wuk. However, Nasian Wuk pulls out another special technique of his from the bag of tricks. It's called the strong and sturdy body. Stomach. Nasian Wuk gardens his stomach for it to become like rock-hard abs, and upon punching there without proper technique, the bully's wrist snaps in two, injuring him and making him cry. Nasian Wuk then turns back to Deok-gu and tells him that it seems like the bullies won't apologize after all, and now as Deok-gu's friend, Nasian Wuk and the rest of the first years can make a move on his behalf to discipline these guys. After all, a friend's blood is equivalent to his own blood to Nasian Wuk. A friend is to him a colleague, a brother, and his own family. Deok-gu takes a deep breath and asks why is Nasian Wuk doing so much for someone like him, who is nothing but a brat and has gone against them in the past. What's so good about him for them to do so much for him, he asks. Deok-gu then tells Nasian Wuk that he has never seen a boss of a group who is so dumb and sentimental. Before he puts his fist forward and thanking Nasian Wuk for everything he has done, and finally acknowledges Nasian Wuk as his boss. Nasian Wuk has a faint smile on his face after hearing all this, and he also puts his fist forward to fist bump Deok-gu. After that, Nasian Wuk asks Deok-gu if he has any idea on what they, as a group, want to do next going forward. Deok-gu smirks, and then both Nasian Wuk and Deok-gu say in unison that from now on, they'll start guiding people in the correct way and teach them to make the right choices only. After a great moment of bonding and brotherhood between Deok-gu and the leader of the first year, Nasian Wuk, Nasian Wuk now changes his focus back on to the bully who is making Deok-gu's life worse. The bully is already messed up from punching Nasian Wuk in the stomach when Nasian Wuk was using his special stomach hardening technique. Now the bully is left with a broken wrist, and ahead of him is a pissed-off mammoth of a man in Nasian Wuk. Nasian Wuk stands there as the apex predator. His presence is unmatchable. Men fear him and women find him ridiculously sexy. He is irresistible. Hwang and Sim and the rest also come in to take a peek to see what's happening in the room. They understand that the guiding to the right path has already began. The bully is getting pissed off by all that is transpiring, so he starts cussing at Nasian Wuk again, calling him crazy and whatnot. Nasian Wuk is stoic as ever though. He stands tall and tells the bully that he already gave him a chance to attack as hard as he could have, but the bully ruined that chance. The bully is getting annoyed by the trash talking and asks Nasian Wuk if he has any idea as to who he is, but Nasian Wuk doesn't care and just tells him to shut up and not be a nuisance to others. The bully asks Nasian Wuk where he comes from and threatens to take his life for the things that he is doing, but Nasian Wuk isn't one to fear threats, as he tells the guy that it doesn't even matter where he comes from when the fault is his and not Nasian Wuk's, all while looking down upon him like a pest. As the situation gets more and more tense, Nasian Wuk says to the bully that even if one can't live a life of righteousness and virtue, they can at least try to be harmless to other people and stick to their own business. Nasian Wuk then tells the bully that this will be the start of a new chapter of his life when a loud shout is heard. "Where are you, Jinsu?" asks an unknown voice to the delight of the bully. Hwang and Sim and Ko look at the back to see that tons of people in corporate suits have arrived and surrounded them. They wonder who they are and if there's some gang or not. The bully says Nasian Wuk and his boys are done for now, as we see an intimidating man walking through the horde of people while looking for Jin-soo. He pushes aside everyone in his path and asks Hwang and Sim and Ko who they are as he makes his appearance felt. It's Gukyang School's graduate 1994's Manhwa. The guys are all scared by him as they realize that this guy is a graduate from their school and is from 1994. They realize that they're done for, and some even plan on getting on their knees to apologize, but it's false hope because that won't work in front of a 1994 graduate. Manhwa asks everyone where they're from and gets more and more irritated as people don't answer him. Manhwa then cusses out and they're forced to answer saying that they're just people who are passing by. Manhwa tells them that if that's the case then they should just pass by and leave his path. He is in a bad mood and he won't take crap from anyone. The goons are also getting excited by this as they crack their knuckles and prepare for an all-out beatdown. Jang Young, who assesses the situation and concludes that they can't afford to make a mistake now as making one will make the situation even worse than it is now, and they gotta wait for the boss order to do everything. Nasian Wuk comes out of the room, and everyone has their trust on him. Whether that be Deok Gu, who is ready to fight for him, or Hwang and Sim, who is ready to sacrifice himself for the rest of the team, they all are waiting for what Nasian Wuk has to say. This makes Nasian Wuk feel good, and he smiles a bit before saying that words won't be enough to fight this battle. Nasian Wuk says that they have to be careful not to make any mistakes and take out the goons first before anything else. They can't hold back and need to go all out to win this one. After that, he shouts "I," like he always does, and everyone else in the group responds with an "I" as well. The goons of Manhwa look on menacingly as the young guys get ready to fight them, but Manhwa doesn't like the calculated approach and tells his men to get ready and gear up to fight these guys as they're not even part of a gang. They're just normal school kids. And so the goons get fired up and make a run to attack Nasian Wuk and the first years of Gukyang School first. Whereas our boys don't hold back either and go ahead to take on the evil gang head-on with no fear. However, unexpectedly, a door opens up in the hallway and one of Manhwa's goon gets taken out by the door. And the man who opens the door is none other than Sudako. This is the bar the works in, and now he finds himself in a weird situation where he doesn't even know what to do. The story continues as Sudako is shocked seeing all of the guys from his school at his workplace, and not only that but also in a huge fight. The goons of Manhwa also notice that Sudako seems to be connected to the first-year brats of Gukyang School and decide to attack him, thinking of him as an enemy as well. The sudden attack startles Sudako and he takes a while to settle into his own. The attackers constantly attack him with punches and kicks, but Sudako uses his superior speed to dodge them all. But as he was carrying wine bottles on a tray in one of his hands, the constant movement causes him to drop it and break it. This scares Sudako as he knows that this will get him into huge trouble, but this also angers him as the guy who caused it to fall tries to attack him again, and Sudako gets a neck clinch on him before delivering some brutal Muay Thai style knees to knock him down. Another one of the goons sees this opportunity and tries to take advantage of it and try to take out Sudako. He leads in with a punch, but Sudako sees it coming and ducks down, making his opponent's punch go waywards and miss the mark. As he loses all of his momentum, Sudako jumps right up with a loaded uppercut, putting his body behind the blow, and uses the upwards velocity to deliver a kumkok ridiculously powerful blow, which lifts the guy off his feet. And such is his speed that Sudako uses the millisecond of time when his opponent is off his feet and in the air to make a spin and land a spinning back kick to the chest of his opponent, which sends the guy flying back into the wall, and the power in which he was thrown back with the kick leaves a crack on the wall. This shocks one of the goons who was preparing to attack Sudako, now knowing what kind of dangerous man they've gotten themselves into a fight with. The man is petrified by what he sees, and just when he looks back, he sees a demon of a man standing behind him who loads up a right cross and hits him with it, which ends up knocking his lights out for the day. Sudako then stands around and sees that the fighting is still going and understands that he is truly screwed for what's going on and will be blamed more for being involved directly in this fight himself. That is when a door beside Sudako opens up and more people end up joining the fight from the side of the first-year squad of Gukyang High School. We see one of the kids delivering a Superman punch to one of the guys, another one getting one of the goons into a chokehold, while Jang Young who delivers a flying knee strike to the bridge of the nose to one of Manhwa's men. Despite the boys from the first year of Gukyang having the lead at this point, with them dominating from all sides, there's still an exception out there as we see Hwang and Sim laid out on the floor, trying to cover himself getting kicked and stomped by one of the goons of Manhwa. The beatdown is relentless and Hwang and Sim has no choice but to submit and take a beating. However, he is saved by the incoming punch that was delivered by his friend Young-tae. After punching out the guy, Young-tae asks Hwang and Sim if he is doing okay, to which Hwang and Sim, ever the comedian, says that he is doing fine and that he is down on the floor because he was looking for some object. Just then Young-tae is almost ambushed by a goon, but Deok-gu beats away the ambusher and saves Young-tae, establishing a new sense of bond between the unified group now under the leadership of Nasian Wuk. However, the guy he had punched away got very mad from being punched that way, and he shows his anger by yelling at them by saying that they'll finish them off for good. On the other hand, we see that a huge group of people from Manhwa squad have gathered together in order to take care of the dangerous threat of Sudako and Jang Young, who both stand back to back in order to take care of the opponents who surround them from all corners. Sudako then asks Jang Young what is going on with these guys and why are they fighting at his workplace. Jang Young asks if Sudako works at this hotel bar during daytime and if that's the reason why he is always sleeping at school. Sudako gets pissed off WBY this and asks why does it matter if that's the case. Jang Young casually says that he doesn't care about it either way, and Sudako calls him out for his lack of manners to the upperclassman, and Jang Young tells him that he often gets called out for it. However, as their opponents are getting ready to attack, Sudako says he doesn't care about any of the first-year guys and just goes on to attack Manhwa's goons to start it off. Sudako starts off with a huge punch, while Jang Young also gets ready to take on the opponents head-on. Meanwhile, Nasian Wuk watches all this and can't help but get a feeling that something is off about everything and maybe a bigger problem is approaching. As Nasian Wuk thinks about these things, the notorious Lee Man-ho himself gets behind him and tells Nasian Wuk that his squad is better than he had given them any credit for, and while he cracks his fingers in preparation to fight, he tells Nasian Wuk that maybe it's time for him to get involved in this kind of fight after a long time. We see that this is the moment that stops everything for everyone. The fighting, which was going on for a long time before this, gets suddenly stopped as everyone from both sides stands still and see the two big men square up. It's on. Lee Man-ho, one of Gukyang High School's most notorious from the 1994 batch, is taking on the reigning Captain 99, the leader of the first years of Gukyang High, Nasian Wuk. As Lee Man-ho prepares himself, he jives his foot forward and twists his hip as he commits to throwing the first blow of the fight, that being a straight right hand. Nasian Wuk closely observes, closes his eyes and takes a deep breath before opening up his eyes and bobbing his left in the opposite direction just in the nick of time to avoid a devastating blow from Manhwa. However, Lee Man-ho is no spring chicken and he has it all calculated as he commits hard with the punch. But as he sees Nasian Wuk avoid it, he counters it immediately by using his lead shoulder to tackle Nasian Wuk's jaw, which sends the Captain 99 a few steps back. As Nasian Wuk tries to rejuvenate himself and see things clearly, Lee Man-ho follows his tackle up with a haymaker of a left hand, which Nasian Wuk is mostly able to take the sting out of with his head movement but still takes it, and gets sent back another few steps back. As Nasian Wuk goes back to observing again, we see that Lee Man-ho is thinking about how Nasian Wuk was able to skillfully take out the venom from most of his blow due to his observation skills and quick reaction reflexes. This excites Lee Man-ho even more as he now sees Nasian Wuk as a proper opponent, someone who he can have a proper fight with, and it's going to be something special between them. Lee Man-ho then calls out Nasian Wuk and warns him that if he doesn't manage to properly do the things that he has been trying from now on, he will be hurt as things are about to get very serious. Saying this, we see that Lee Man-ho has started to take off and drop the weight bands which he has been wearing on his ankle to possibly hold back his full power and also get some resistance training while he is at it. The goons of Lee Man-ho are also surprised as they can't believe that their boss just took off the weight bands he wears on his ankle. This means that this fight will get very ugly and might see some serious bloodshed. Even Nasian Wuk is a bit surprised knowing that Lee Man-ho has been loving at that speed while having approximately 1 kilo heavy weight bands on either ankles at once. Lee Man-ho then starts stretching and warming up as he is about to show the true extent to the power that he possesses and go all out. Lee Man-ho tells Nasian Wuk that he feels disrespected and very deeply hurt because of what Nasian Wuk has been doing. Everyone is a bit confused by this question, but Lee Man-ho reveals that he is aware of the fact that Nasian Wuk has been holding back in a proper fight with him and has been only using half of his abilities. That being said, Lee Man-ho then gets ready and dashes forward, intention being set clear, beat Nasian Wuk to a pulp and show the first years who he is. He tells Nasian Wuk that things will be very different from now onwards. After this, Lee Man-ho gets close and lands a very powerful and thudding right cross punch to Nasian Wuk, which sends him back flying this time and leaves a huge dent on the wall as Nasian Wuk went on to hit the wall from the power of the impact. This scares and shocks everyone, including Hwang In-sim, Jang Young-hoo, Young Tae, and Duk-gu, as they can't believe that their Captain 99 was sent back flying like this. However, Lee Man-ho doesn't just stand there and think that he finished off Nasian Wuk. Instead, he knows what just happened due to his great sensing ability. He calls out Nasian Wuk again, telling him that he is fully aware that Nasian Wuk managed to subdue the effects of that punch as well and is perfectly fine just playing possum. Nasian Wuk gets back up after that happened, and Lee Man-ho then goes on to give himself a proper introduction. He says that he is Lee Man-ho, a graduate of the infamous Gukyang High School and a member of the 1994 line. This shocks everyone from Gukyang High School, as well as they can't believe how it's someone from the infamous 1994 batch, which is known to have some scary and legendary fighters. Meanwhile, Nasian Wuk also confidently introduced himself as Nasian Wuk. Lee Man-ho then tries his best to remember if he had heard the name Nasian Wuk before, and comes to conclusion that he doesn't know anyone who has that name. However, it's weird to him how he, Lee Man-ho, doesn't know about someone on the level of Nasian Wuk. Lee Man-ho then ends up asking Nasian Wuk if he really is from Gukyang, as he understands that Nasian Wuk isn't from the place. Lee Man-ho says that Nasian Wuk being an outsider just made him realize that it will be much more fun to finish off an outsider, and then he calls him out for the fight of a lifetime. Nasian Wuk then tells Lee Man-ho that he was just waiting to evaluate the skills of him, and now he has a good grasp of what he is like, so now he will come at him. After hearing this, Lee Man-ho is getting back into fighting position, but before he can even do it, Nasian Wuk moves his massive body frame by the speed of lightning to arrive near Lee Man-ho. Nasian Wuk then asks Lee Man-ho if he meant for him to be like this when he said that he has to do things the right way, before delivering a massive punch if his own, which is fully blocked by Lee Man-ho, but Nasian Wuk's power is too much. Lee Man-ho wonders how this guy is on the same level as him when it took Lee Man-ho 23 years to get on this level. Yet this guy is just as fast as him. Lee Man-ho then realizes that Nasian Wuk isn't on the same level of quickness as him. In fact, he is faster than him. So the punch makes Lee Man-ho fly back into the wall and break it, just like how it went with Nasian Wuk before. Lee Man-ho still holds the guard from the attack, and it took away most of the damage that could have been done by the punch. Lee Man-ho then smirks and asks Nasian Wuk that even if it would have been too late, why didn't Nasian Wuk try to double down on the attack and continue to beat up Lee Man-ho when he had a good chance to do so? Lee Man-ho asks Nasian Wuk if he thinks of him as some senile old man, not worthy of taking a full-powered version of him on his own. Nasian Wuk stoically replies by saying that one cannot attack someone who fell or is not in control of himself. This rages up Lee Man-ho even more, who says that he appreciates the thinking from Nasian Wuk, but it's something that Nasian Wuk will regret from now onwards, as Nasian Wuk gets into fighting position again and asks Nasian Wuk if he is ready for another round. This time Lee Man-ho means business as he dashes forward at top speed and is about to attack Nasian Wuk, who once again stands there and waits patiently to see what to do as things start to unfold in front of him. Lee Man-ho goes for another loaded upright punch, but Nasian Wuk uses his superior head movement to dodge it, or so he though, as even a slight hint of contact with the punch draws blood from the face of Nasian Wuk, who himself is a bit shocked. Lee Man-ho follows it up with a swinging haymaker left, which also doesn't really connect but has the same result as the previous blow. Lee Man-ho has got the advantage in the fight now as he charges Nasian Wuk, who is in full defensive mode, trying to block and dodge the oncoming flurry of punches from Lee Man-ho, mostly managing to avoid the direct hits, but the ones that even slightly graze him end up doing a lot of damage to him. However, as the sequence goes on, Lee Man-ho notices that his speed is slowing down considerably and that he isn't able to keep up with Nasian Wuk's pace, who is now moving around a lot more. That is when Lee Man-ho admits and declares Nasian Wuk as a strong person. Only his boss and Nasian Wuk are the ones who made Lee Man-ho go beyond his limit and go all out with everything he knows. And as Nasian Wuk is a bit shocked seeing him prepare, we see that Lee Man-ho is looking like he is possessed by a demon as he is ready to end it all with his special technique, the ultra top speed, where he moves in a speed that is too much for any human to keep up. And so Lee Man-ho uses that technique. He dashes forward in unreal speed and is about to use that momentum to attack Nasian Wuk, when he sees Nasian Wuk standing there. Lee Man-ho thinks that Nasian Wuk is too slow, but in actuality, Nasian Wuk is observing again, and just when Lee Man-ho gets complacent, he notices a fist in front of his face, to which he is running into at ultra-top speed. Nasian Wuk has used one of his secret techniques as well, the perfect rebuttal, counter move, which uses the opponent's momentum against them and give them a reply befitting. This shocks everyone in the building. The punch sends Lee Man-ho into oblivion, who can't believe how strong and skilled Nasian Wuk is. Lee Man-ho then talks about the time when one of his friends Seoul told him that once upon a time, two guys on their own managed to conquer the complex scene of Seoul. One of the men described was a man with a strong jawline, while the other one had tattoos on his arms just like Nasian Wuk. He also had a gut like him, and he was super strong and resilient. Not to mention that person also used this counter technique that Nasian Wuk used. The duo was called the Star Guys. Upon seeing such a broken down state of their leader, the goons of the gang decide to attack Nasian Wuk and his squad again in retaliation. However, Lee Man-ho himself tells them to stop and concedes defeat, saying that it's their loss on this occasion. Later on, when everything has stopped, a loud laughing is heard from the hotel room as we see that everyone from Nasian Wuk's crew alongside Lee Man-ho sit together and have a drink and conversation together. Meanwhile, the bully who bullied Deok-gu is made to sit on his knees and raise his non-broken hand up in the sky. Lee Man-ho says that they apologize for making such a huge mistake and laughs the situation off. And this unsettles our squad as they can't believe the menacing man is acting so normally now. Lee Man-ho then talks to Deok-gu's bully, to whom he said that if he comes running after making a mistake, would Lee Man-ho have helped him? He only helped him because he thought that the kid had gotten into trouble for no reason and needed Lee Man-ho's support in all of this. Deok-gu's bully tries to laugh this off like it's nothing, but it pisses off Lee Man-ho, who gets into his face and asks him if he is taking advantage of Lee Man-ho because he thought of him as a little brother. If he is using him as a chip to get out of trouble after he, himself, created it for himself and everyone else. This scares the bully, who says that he doesn't think of it that way and that it's impossible for him to even consider it. He also goes on to say that he is deeply apologetic for what he caused. Lee Man-ho tells him that he should get things straight and not get into trouble further on, and that he should live his life rightfully and peacefully from now. The bully apologizes again, to which Lee Man-ho said that he should apologize to the people he caused trouble to. The bully then looks at Deok-gu and says that he is really sorry for what he has done and that he will be sure not to ever repeat it again. Nasian Wuk tells Deok-gu that it's up to him if he wants to forgive or not, to which Deok-gu said that he is fine with the apology, but he wants to make sure that the bully doesn't cause any issues for anyone at his area, to which the bully said that he won't. Lee Man-ho further warns the bully, saying that if he breaks these promises, Lee Man-ho will personally find him and finish him off for good. Lee Man-ho then tells the bully to leave and not repeat these mistakes ever again. Then the bully gets up and runs for his life as if he was in an Olympic sprint event. Deok-gu is surprised by how fast he was, and then Lee Man-ho puts down his card in front of them and says that he was in the wrong too for fighting them, and says that they should keep his card in case of any future issues. They can count on him, as he promised to pay back with twice as much effort to make up for the mistakes they've made. Nasian Wuk takes the card, and Lee Man-ho tells him that they definitely would need it someday. Then Lee Man-ho gets ready and leaves with his squad. Everyone in Nasian Wuk's squad is relieved after a hard day. Hwang In-sim says that he thought of Lee Man-ho's squad as some legit gangsters, but they turned out being decently nice people. Jang Young, who then thanks everyone for the hard work that day, and Nasian Wuk says that they should all go their ways now as they have school the day after. Just as they're about to go, Deok-gu and his friends call them out and bow together to thank them. Jang Young, who says that they shouldn't do this and instead get them a PC room to play games. Nasian Wuk tells them that friends don't bow like that. Outside, we see that Lee Man-ho is getting called by the 94 boss, John Suk. Later on, at the group meeting, we see that 97 boss, Ma Suk-pil, is mad because all the seats of third years are filled, all the seats of second years are filled, but first year seats are fully empty. They're bothered by the fact that none of the first years even bother showing up to meetings, and the fact that they're not collecting money like before. Ma Suk-pil asks Chong Suk for an update, and Chong Suk tells Ma Suk-pil that his people are transferring in as first-year students soon. We see that it's a girl and boy, both with pinkish hair and a certain kind of aura. Ma Suk-pil asks if they are the ones, to which Chong Suk says that they're indeed the ones, and that they'll take back the first-year crown for the group and the leader. Next up, at the school and the first year's classroom, we see that the two transfer students from before are there. The teacher informs everyone that these two are the new transfer students of the school. And we see that the boys are already crazy about the bad girl looks of the girl and girls are crazy about the soft looks of the boy. The teacher tells them to introduce themselves. The girl is about to do just that when we see that the boy has already jumped the gun and gone near Nasian Wuk. Nasian Wuk asks him who he is, and the boy refers to Nasian Wuk as the captain of the first year and says that he would love to be friends with him. But Jang Young, who puts forward his crutch to create distance, and he confronts the new guy asking him why is he jumping the gun and already trying to be so close. The boy then says that he heard about Jang Young who too, stating that he heard how Jang Young who messed up the first day at school and got severely injured. This offends Jang Young who, and they both give each other side eyes. The teacher calls the boy back and he apologizes and says that they will redo their intros starting with the girl. The girl says that her name is Cheon Tae Pung and is in a careless mood. This hypes up the boys who can't believe how pretty she is and how pretty her name is. Meanwhile, the girls find this behavior cringy. The boy then introduces himself as Cheon Dung and says that he doesn't know a lot of things, so he hopes everyone takes care of him. The girls are now going gaga over him, and the boys think it's too much of an overreaction. Later we see that the class bell has been rung for the lunch and Hwang In-sim approaches Nasian Wuk, asking him if he would like to go for lunch together. But Cheon Dung interferes midway and asks Nasian Wuk the same thing, that if he would like to go to the canteen with him. Hwang In-sim is a bit bothered by how the guy barged in midway and how he is so assertive. They share a cold stare at each other before Cheon Dung gets back to Nasian Wuk, who isn't really interested. Nasian Wuk then asks him about his name, to which Cheon Dung explains what his name is like, and Nasian Wuk says that it's a pretty rare name. Then we see Park Suzy entering the classroom to meet Nasian Wuk, and she notices Cheon Tae Pung right away. She notices how pretty she is, her nose, eyes, everything. Cheon Dung tries to approach her but is quickly pushed away by Park Suzy as she goes ahead and drags Nasian Wuk to have lunch with her. Later on we see that Cheon Dung is talking to Chong Suk. Chong Suk tells him that it's his duty as a senior to take care of the mess that his juniors are making, and that if Cheon Dung remembers the objective they had in mind when joining the school. Cheon Dung says he does have it in mind and that he will fully pay back for some favor Chong Suk did for him back in the days. Meanwhile, we see that Hwang In-sim is in the toilet, suffering from constipation when a few kids enter the toilet as well. The kids talk about how Nasian Wuk is cool and better than Park Ki-duk, and how all the kids who hang out with him is cool too except for Hwang In-sim. They say that the only reason they have a loser like Hwang In-sim in the squad is because they feel bad for him. Hwang In-sim writes this off as those guys not knowing what they're talking about, but as he thinks about the past, when no one wanted to talk with him or even go eat together with him, or when the kids at the soccer club would make fun of him for not being good enough. He realizes that he must be really embarrassing for everyone. A lot of thoughts cross his mind and we see a very different look on Hwang In-sim's face for the first time. We then see another flashback from middle school where a new transfer student had joined the class that Hwang In-sim was in. At first, the student was a bit awkward, but Hwang In-sim and his friends helped him settle into the group by playing games, going out, etc. However, one day, as they got chocolate milk from the school, Hwang In-sim asked his friend to throw it at him. His friend did so, but Hwang In-sim failed to catch it and dropped it on the transfer student's head. He quickly apologized a lot and even offered to give him a change of clothes, but the boy coldly refused, saying that Hwang In-sim's size won't fit him. From there on, a sort of stigma was built around Hwang In-sim. All his friends who he trusted so much started to talk behind his back, and they started a rumor that he tried to mess with the new student on purpose. All this was getting to Hwang In-sim, and he soon got replaced in his own friend circle by the new guy. However, Hwang In-sim tried to play it cool and blend in with the group, but he was unfortunately always a background member with no identity. Meanwhile, the new student grew in status every day. One such day, the new student were trying to bully a few kids, and one of the kids stood up to the new student and knocked him out with a straight punch. The person was Jang Young, and he even asked Hwang In-sim that if he wanted to come with him, he could come instead of being left behind. Finally, someone who understood Hwang In-sim had arrived, and he wanted to be cool just like him. Back to the present time, we see the group talking to Jang Young, and ask him when he is going to take off the cast, as he has been wearing it for ages, and joke around with him. Then we see that Hwang In-sim tries to join in on the conversation. Jang Young-woo asks where he was, and just because his inner self told him to keep it cool and to ignore what those kids said, Hwang In-sim played his normal character and said he went to poop. As the day went on, the group kept talking and Young-tae was telling them something about a show he watched when Hwang In-sim startled him with a blow to the back. Young-tae looked back and said that he was in the middle of talking in a pretend rude way as always. However, Hwang In-sim is insecure and he apologizes to Young-tae, who is shocked as to why he would apologize when Young-tae wasn't even serious. Hwang In-sim's inner self told him to be cool again, and he spun it around saying that he was pretending to be sorry to catch them off guard. Later onwards, as the group are talking after school, Hwang In-sim joins in and asks if they want to go to PC room together. Jang Young-woo says he has an appointment, Nasian Wuk has to study with Kang Minju and others have other stuff to do as well. Hwang In-sim is a bit sad but he plays it cool saying that he would have paid for everyone but no one is interested and they all go their own way. This really bothers Hwang In-sim but he plays it cool and goes to play alone to the PC room. After going, he couldn't enjoy the game and left soon. On his way back, he felt hungry and just then he saw that the entire group are together and are entering a hotel room. He is shocked to know they lied to him about having appointments and are hanging out together but he has to play it cool so he decides to join them. But he soon realizes that do they want him to even join? All the things that those kids said about him play back in his head. Maybe they don't want him to come after all, maybe he is a bother, maybe he is embarrassing and maybe they only have him around because they feel sorry for him. As the depression starts kicking in, Cheon-dung arrives to the scene and asks Hwang In-sim if he wanted to join him to eat if he was hungry too as Cheon-dung hadn't eaten and he doesn't have any friends. Hwang In-sim is touched by this and immediately agrees to join up with him and eat together right away. Cheon-dung has a sinister smile on his face as he is about to exploit Hwang In-sim to make his way up the ladder going forward. The story continues and we see that In-sim is sitting down with Cheon-dung and they're talking about all sorts of things. In-sim talks about a funny story and how he was once saved by Young-hoo and Young-tae and how that meant a lot to him and so on and so forth. Cheon-dung listens to this and laughs out loud saying that In-sim is really the funniest guy ever and that his storytelling is impeccable and that he should try out to do YouTube videos. This flusters Hwang In-sim, who likes to hear his praises. In-sim says that he didn't think good of Cheon-dung at first, thinking that he was keeping In-sim in check, to which Cheon-dung flatters him even more by saying that he wanted to be In-sim's friend from the beginning. In-sim blushes and asks why would he want that, to which he replies by saying that he thinks In-sim has a cute face, a good sense of humor and is the coolest. In-sim really appreciates all this coming from Cheon-dung and tells him that from now on, he considers Cheon-dung to be his best friend. In-sim also tells him that if there's anything he can help him out with, he will definitely do that for Cheon-dung. Cheon-dung lies about how he appreciates it before pushing the vulnerable button, asking In-sim why he was standing here to begin with, to which In-sim makes up a lie saying that had come here to play with all his friends at the PC room but he didn't want to play for much longer so he had decided to come back earlier. Cheon-dung listened to this and asks In-sim if that's the truth as after all, when he saw Cheon-dung here, he had a very sad look on his face, and as someone who has been bullied for his entire school life, it really bothered him. In-sim listens to this and gets into his brave character as he promises to Cheon-dung that if anyone ever tries to lay a finger on his best friend, he will burn them down and beat them up, so Cheon-dung doesn't need to worry much. The next day, at school, we see that the friendship has blossomed even more between In-sim and Cheon-dung. In-sim walks with him in the hallway and asks him if he reached home safely yesterday, to which Cheon-dung says that he did and so on. In-sim then asks Cheon-dung, who now he firmly considers to be his best friend, if he would like to come with him after school, as they can go to the PC room to play a lot of online games together. Cheon-dung laughs and asks In-sim if he is a pro-level player, to which he replies by saying that he is so far only bronze but not bad. Just then, we see one of the guys at school open the door of his class in hurry and tries to rush out and he slightly bumps into Cheon-dung, and to add the dramatics, he crashes down hard and clenches his ankle, saying he got hurt bad. This angers In-sim, who then grabs the guy by the collar and threatens to punch him right then, and just at that moment, Young-tae comes to the scene and retrains In-sim from hitting the guy. As Nasian Wuk told them to not get violent with their own friends, however, In-sim is livid so much so that he cusses out at Young-tae and tells him to leave him. Young-tae is shocked, but he still has him held up, but In-sim then snaps his hand out of Jung-tae's grasp angrily, and the whiplash from it causes Young-tae to get hit in the face by In-sim. Everyone is shocked. Young-tae holds his face, and the kid who bumped into Cheon-dong goes immediately to attend to Young-tae, who says that he is fine and that it's okay. Just when In-sim is looking like he wants to say something, Cheon-dong asks for his assistance in getting up. After that, In-sim and Young-tae go their separate ways. In-sim is consumed by what he just did and can't concentrate on anything as Cheon-dong keeps on yapping about various things. After Cheon-dong notices that In-sim isn't paying attention to him, Cheon-dong calls him out and In-sim comes back to his senses. In-sim then tells Cheon-dong that he needs to go and talk to Young-tae, to which Cheon-dong tells him no to go as it's okay, and Young-tae was okay too. In-sim says that he did inadvertently hit Young-tae, so he should definitely go and apologize, but Cheon-dong says that it wasn't anything, and that he saw it himself and could tell that it was more of a joke. In-sim feels a bit relieved hearing this, but he is still conflicted about his feelings, and part of him wants to go and visit Young-tae, but Cheon-dong knows what to do, and he tells In-sim that he is going on ahead to the canteen. After reflecting on everything for a while, In-sim decides to go catch up with Cheon-dong instead of going to Young-tae, and this makes the evil Cheon-dong grin from ear to ear as his plan is working as perfectly as it could have. The next day, we see that Jang Young-hoo and Young-tae are talking to each other. Young-tae is surprised that Young-hoo is off the crutches and asks what had he done to them, to which Young-hoo says that he had gotten rid of them and will soon get rid of the cast on his arm too as is healing up. Young-tae says that his quick healing is surprising to say the least, and Young-hoo jokes about how they all said he would be stuck with injury for the next 23 episodes. This is when the duo sees Hwan In-sim coming in with Cheon-dong. Young-tae says hi to In-sim, but he just ignores and leaves while talking about games with his new best friend. Young-hoo and Young-tae wonder just what has gone wrong with In-sim lately, as he has changed a lot. Young-hoo talks about how In-sim has always been like this and that he will come back and say it was all a prank at any time. Young-tae says that the current In-sim is quite different and that he has changed drastically since meeting up with this new dude Cheon-dong. Young-hoo understands the concerns and asks Young-tae if he should go and talk to In-sim, to which Young-tae says that he needs him to do a different favor. The favor being that Young-tae is sure that he can talk to In-sim about it, so he wants Young-hoo to talk to Cheon-dong. This ticks of Young-hoo as he doesn't want to talk to Cheon-dong and says that Young-tae should talk to both. Young-tae says that he doesn't feel comfortable about the idea of talking to that guy, and so he wants Young-hoo to do it for him. After a little tension, Young-hoo agrees to go and talk to Cheon-dong. The scene then changes to outside of the school building, where Young-tae catches up to In-sim. Young-tae asks In-sim if he has done anything wrong for In-sim to behave with him in this manner, to which In-sim sluggishly says that it's not the case. It's obvious that In-sim doesn't want to talk to him, so Young-tae asks that why is In-sim avoiding him, and if it is because Young-tae held his fists that one time, to which In-sim again says that nothing is wrong but his attitude gives it away. This angers Young-tae a little as he shouts a little and says that he will just apologize if he did something wrong, so why doesn't In-sim say it? Young-tae also tells him that he doesn't seem to want to hang out with them anymore and asks if he had received the message from Nasian Wuk. This confuses In-sim as he doesn't know what Young-tae is talking about, but Young-tae explains that Nasian Wuk hasn't been coming to school lately because of something that went wrong with his mother. But Nasian Wuk must have forgotten to tell In-sim. This hits the spot with Hwang In-sim as he snaps out on Young-tae, saying that he doesn't care about that sort of thing and why does he even need to know about what's up with Nasian Wuk. This shocks Young-tae as he doesn't quite know what to say, and In-sim leaves as he wants to go play with Cheon-dong at the PC room. Meanwhile, we see Jang Young-hoo and Cheon-dong starting their conversation. Cheon-dong has the usual phony personality on display, but Young-hoo is straight to the point as he asks Cheon-dong about In-sim's weird behavior these days and if he has any idea regarding that. Cheon-dong asks why he would ask Cheon-dong about this, to which Young-hoo says that it's because Cheon-dong has been hanging out with In-sim lately. Cheon-dong says that instead of asking him, he could have just asked In-sim himself. Young-hoo sighs and says that he shouldn't have called him here and that it's true. He should have just gone and asked In-sim himself, which he will go and do now. As Young-hoo is leaving, Cheon-dong makes a provocative comment, saying that Young-hoo must be upset that his errand boy has left his side. This seriously angers Young-hoo, who confronts Cheon-dong for saying what he said, and also says that it must have been him who has gotten into In-sim's head and made him turn against them. Cheon-dong slowly brings out his real character as he mocks Young-hoo, saying that he must really be an idiot to have just noticed this now. This was the final straw for Young-hoo, who got mad and went all out to throw a wicked right-handed punch at Cheon-dong. Cheon-dong sees this coming, but he decides not to dodge or retaliate and instead takes the punch head-on and goes down from it. In-sim had just arrived to the scene and he witnessed this and got worried about Cheon-dong. So he rushes towards him, and on his way, he bumps away Young-hoo, who falls down. In-sim attends to Cheon-dong, who says that he is fine, and then he turns around to berate Young-hoo for hitting someone weaker than him. He goes on a long rant about how wrong Young-hoo was, and that he broke Nasian Wuk's conduct of not fighting friends and listening to all of this. Young-hoo's mind goes blank as he can't believe that In-sim has been brainwashed like this. In-sim then tells Young-hoo to apologize, but Young-hoo notices that Cheon-dong, with an evil smile, mouths out that he really looks like an idiot now. This sends everything over the limit for Young-hoo, who jumps right in to attack Cheon-dong. But In-sim grabs a hold of Young-hoo and tries to stop him in his path. However, Young-hoo is angry, so he instinctively turns around to hit In-sim instead. The hit got scuffled but still hit In-sim. In-sim then starts screaming out loud about Young-hoo and his intentions. He says that Young-hoo is the son of a murderer, so it only makes sense that he would try to do the same as well. This statement totally bamboozles Young-hoo, who asks In-sim what he had just said. In-sim repeats again, saying that he is just like his father and that Young-hoo had the same intentions as his father and intended to take In-sim's life at that moment. This all breaks Young-hoo. He couldn't believe that In-sim had said this after all the things that he had done for them, and so he gets ready to hit In-sim again and this time finish him off for real. However, before he could do so, Nasian Wuk intervenes and stops him and asks the question of why he has been doing this and asks why they are going against his request of friends not fighting themselves. Jang Young-hoo snaps out of Nasian Wuk's grasp and walks away from the scene as everyone watches him in shock. Young-hoo then utters that Hwang In-sim is no longer his friend. And so starts the descent in Nasian Wuk's reign as the 99 captain. As things go south side, we see that everyone looks worried and watches on to see the next development of this incident. A little bit further away stands Cheon-dong, who can't help but laugh out from all the problems that he has managed to cause on his own. It makes him feel proud and accomplished. However, what concerns him right away is the sighting of his sister among the crowd watching all this unfold. Cheon-dong notices and rushes towards her, grabs her arm and pulls her away by force. He tells her to come with her, and she asks him just why he is doing that, to which Cheon-dong turns around and gives his sister a demonic look which suits her up, and he starts recklessly pulling her away again. Tae-pung tries to tell Cheon-dong that he is hurting her and that she understands now, so there's no need to recklessly pull her. However, Cheon-dong doesn't care and keeps ragdolling her. That is when we see someone pulling back Tae-pung away from the grasp of Cheon-dong. This shocks both Tae-pung and Cheon-dong as the person pulling back Tae-pung is none other than 99 Captain himself, Nasian Wuk. Kang Minju and Park Suzy both get jealous seeing Nasian Wuk holding on to Tae-pung. Cheon-dong is angry from all this and he tells Nasian Wuk to leave Tae-pung and tries to take her away. However, what follows stuns everyone in the entire area. The simple aura that exudes out of Nasian Wuk leaves everyone blinded and stunned from how much pressure the man is able to create from just his aura. And with that tiger-like aura, Nasian Wuk tells Cheon-dong that in no way should a man ever even think of hurting a woman. This statement sends everything ablaze and Cheon-dong's real character starts coming out as he is annoyed to a whole different level. However, Cheon Tae-pung intervenes to save Cheon-dong from getting his butt kicked and even from exposing his character. Tae-pung tells Nasian Wuk that they'll hang out later and that her and her brother need to leave immediately. And so she grabs Cheon-dong's arm and they both go away. After this, everyone is a bit stunned to speak, and the same is the case for Nasian Wuk, as this has been a weird welcome back to school for him. We then see In-sim walking out of the crowd of people with blood flowing down his nose, and with what seems like no intention of talking. As Hwang In-sim walks away, Nasian Wuk speaks up and tells In-sim that whenever he is in the mood to talk, the doors for him to come back and get heard are always open. In-sim hears this and looks at his reflection from the puddle of water on the ground, and kicks the water before walking away again, and saying that whatever Nasian Wuk is saying doesn't make any sense to him. After this happens, Nasian Wuk looks like he is visually broken down as the sadness is evident on his face. Then everyone comes to check on Nasian Wuk, and Kang Minju suggests that they should postpone the welcoming party for Nasian Wuk as he has a lot going on for him at the moment. She also suggests Nasian Wuk to go get some rest as she is aware that he hasn't gotten a chance to rest while taking care of his mother. Diaku asks if he should go and look for Insim, but Nasian Wuk tells him to not go and let Insim be by himself and reflect on and understand things in his own manner. We also get to know that Youngtae had gone after Young Hu there. We then see Park Suzy worrying if Insim will really be okay on his own. The scene then changes and we see that Youngtae is chasing after Young Hu through a crowded area, trying to get his attention. Eventually, after catching up, Young Hu grabs Young Hu by the shoulder and tells him to calm down about all this. However, the look that Young Hu gives to Youngtae after turning around can only be described as bone-chilling as it totally scares Youngtae and he lets go of Young Hu's shoulder out of pure intimidation, after which Young Hu leaves. After Young Hu leaves, we can see that Youngtae realizes what caused all this, as he ends up cussing out loud for someone, while we also see the anger that is going through Insim and the sadness that is casted over Nasian Wuk. What will even happen to the group now? We then see what was happening all this time as Nasian Wuk was away. We see that upon learning about his mother's deteriorating health, Nasian Wuk rushed to the hospital to see her. There, Nasian Wuk met his little brother, Dong Wook, who informed Nasian Wuk about what the doctors were saying about their mother. It was pretty much the same old things, and as Dong Wook was reenacting them unseriously, it pissed off Nasian Wuk. Nasian Wuk then said that he would talk to the doctor himself, to which his brother told him not to, and this pissed off Nasian Wuk even more as he told him to leave the room. Nasian Wuk then asks his mom how she is doing. His mom wakes up and tells her son to not be harsh on his little brother and tells him that she has been doing better and is improving. Nasian Wuk tells his mom that he prays that she gets well soon, to which her mom tells him that she is sorry for not being able to take care of Nasian Wuk and his little brother and tells him to take care of himself and be nice at school. Nasian Wuk tells her everything is fine at his side, so she doesn't need to worry about him. Back to the present time, we see that Cheon-dung and Cheon-tae-pung have come to an isolated area where Cheon-dung yells at her and tells her to stay out of his business. He tells her that everything was going perfectly fine until Tae-pung decided to show up for no reason and it all went to the ashtray. Cheon-dung further tells Tae-pung that he never liked her and that she is holding him back. Tae-pung says that she just went there because Minju had asked her to and that she has no idea what her brother was doing and what the whole plan was, but it's all gonna get him up in a huge pickle. However, hearing this angers Cheon-dung, who then punches the wall and breaks a piece of it to intimidate his sister as blood pours down from his knuckles. Cheon-dung says that he won't tolerate interference from her ever again. Just at that moment, we see a pissed-off Youngtae, who comes out and cusses at Cheon-dung and asks him just what his plan is all about. Cheon-dung, still pissed off, asks Youngtae just what will he do about it. Youngtae then says that he now gets it that everything that has happened, from Hwang and Sim's problem to Jang Young whose it was all orchestrated by Cheon-dung, and for that reason, Youngtae is mad at him and saying this, he gets ready to fight. Youngtae then rushes in towards Cheon-dung with a punch, but Cheon-dung easily dodges that punch and hits an uppercut to the chest area of Youngtae, which sends him traveling back, bouncing on the ground and down. Youngtae realizes that Cheon-dung is a deceptively strong guy. Cheon-dung then approaches Youngtae and mocks him by saying that it's really ridiculous how someone with that kind of power thought of attacking him. However, he will now teach him a lesson by hitting his special technique move. However, Tae-pung goes and stops him from behind. Cheon-dung then roughly pushes her down and says that he already warned her that he won't hold back, before once again going for a shot at Youngtae, but his arm is stopped again. We then see Cheon-tae-pung blushing as she was caught in the embracing arms of Nasian Wuk, who was also the one who stopped Cheon-dung from punching. Nasian Wuk says that he already told Cheon-dung to not hurt women in any way, and he also told everyone to not fight with their own schoolmates. We see that Nasian Wuk has a good grasp of Cheon-dung's arm and won't let go, and this is the moment when Cheon-dung finally breaks his good boy act and starts behaving like his real self as he tells Nasian Wuk to let go. Nasian Wuk doesn't let go and Cheon-dung gets mad because of it. Nasian Wuk then checks on Youngtae and asks him if he is okay, to which Youngtae says that he is okay. He then asks the same question to Tae-pung, who he is holding on to, and she says that she is fine too while being flustered. Nasian Wuk then lets go of Cheon-dung and tells him that whatever that he may be planning, it's not the right thing to do, and so he should not do that and he shouldn't go around and be violent to friends and women. Cheon-dung asks if he is being threatened, to which Nasian Wuk says that it's just advice from a friend. Then Seon Wook tells Cheon Dung that he will let go of this because of Tae Pung, but he won't be leaving it the next time it happens. As Seon Wook goes to pick up Young Tae, Cheon Dung says that it's just the beginning for him, to which Seon Wook gets serious and asks if he is a joke to Cheon Dung. Cheon Dung says that he doesn't like to joke, and Seon Wook says that Cheon Dung shouldn't push his limits. Cheon Dung says that Seon Wook doesn't have any right to decide anything for him, and that he is just playing the boss as the time. After that, Cheon Dung says that if he is the boss for real, he should be able to take these blows for him, and so Cheon Dung jumps in with his special technique punch. However, Seon Wook manages to catch the punch. This pisses off Chong Dung, and he jumps up to hit Seon Wook with an axe kick. But once again, Seon Wook catches the kick and pushes away Cheon Dung. Cheon Dung then says that because he is capable of handling these blows, he deserves to be called the captain. Seon Wook asks Cheon Dung just what his intentions are, to which Cheon Dung keeps it vague and says that now he won't be playing any characters and that things are about to go down for real. Saying this, Cheon Dung leaves, and Tae Pung also leaves with him. Young Tae asks the question to Seon Wook if it is really okay to let that weirdo go, and Seon Wook replies to this by saying that they should focus more on In Sim and Young Hoo. Later on, we see Seon Wook and Young Tae sitting down, and Seon Wook asks what happened with Young Hoo, to which Young Tae says that he didn't look right to him. Young Tae then says that there is one thing that always got Young Hoo pissed off, and while he shouldn't say this without his permission, but Seon Wook needs to know about it. That being that in middle school, one kid once decided to mess with Young Hoo by writing on the school board that Young Hoo's father was a murderer. And while Young Tae tried to calm Young Hoo down, Young Hoo was already too pissed off, and then he got his hands on that kid and he almost took that kid's life. They then got to know that it's a sensitive topic for Young Hoo and that it was always a thing that ate him up growing up, and it still does probably. Young Tae says that he doesn't know much more than that. Young Tae then says that he really doesn't know what will come off of this conflict. What will happen to Young Hoo or to In Sim. We then see Young Hoo sitting in his room, and the stuff that was said to him by In Sim keeps playing back in his head, and it's really making him feel bad. He doesn't even pick the calls from Young Tae. It is then that he realizes that someone was on the door, and after opening up, we see that it was Cheon Dung. Cheon Dung says that while he might not be the person he expected, there is still something important that those two need to discuss. Young Hoo doesn't want to have any of it and tells Cheon Dung to leave. However, Cheon Dung is serious and he asks for a moment to talk with Young Hoo. Young Hoo then asks how he got here, to which Cheon Dung says that he got here through In Sim. Cheon Dung then makes it all clear outside of his character. Cheon Dung tells Young Hoo that he was set up by the 98 captain to come out and take over the crown of 99 captain from Nasian Wuk and continue things like normal. And while he could just take Seon Wook to the BTS, it would be a drag, and he wants to change the system back to how it was, and with how much Seon Wook has changed the culture, it would be hard for him to do it, so he needed to break the bond between the group and then get the crown. Jang Young Hoo tells him that it is impossible for him to beat someone as special as Seon Wook, but Cheon Dung explains that if he can't finish up Seon Wook, then the second year will step in, and then the third year will step in to take back the power. They would have already stepped in and taken over, but they don't want to stoop down to such low levels. However, if Cheon Dung fails, the second and third years will get involved, and even the king, Ma Suk Pil, might get involved directly. And while Nasian Wuk is a strong guy and can put up a fight, the rest of the first year are nobodies and can't even defend their own groups, let alone the entire year. Cheon Dung then suggests that Young Hoo stands up for the position on 1999's captain, because he really is a perfect choice. That way, he will be able to protect the people he wants to, and it's not like Young Hoo is a saint either. He was a thug and he did take money from poor kids before too. So he just needs to resume that activity, pay a portion to the seniors, and keep the rest to himself, and everything will be fine. The only thing that he needs to make sure is that Nasian Wuk leaves the school. This really puts Young Hoo in a tough predicament, and before Cheon Dung leaves, he tells Young Hoo that there isn't much time to decide. Later onwards, we see that Young Hoo has paid a visit to Sudako, who was working at that moment, and he asked Dako if they could talk, to which Dako tells him to get out because he is working. Sometime later, after Dako is done with work and is tired, Young Hoo catches up with him and asks him the question as to why he has left the third years group and if he was kicked out, to which Dako says that he left on his own accord. Young Hoo then says that he has no idea on what to do with his school life going forward and that it is really eating him up lately. Dako says that he once felt the same too. He says that he came here with a friend at the start of second year, but things really got messy because of the hierarchy system that the school follows. Dako then says that a man should do what he wants to do and what he can do the best, and as he is about to say more, Young-hoo stops him and says that he understands what he means and that a thug should do what he does best, and ends up leaving as he has already made his mind. Sudako looks confused and calls out Young-hoo's manners as he didn't even let him get to the main point. The next day, Nasian Wuk and the rest of the first-year students get the notification about BTS being hosted. And this time the champion, Nasian Wuk, will defend his crown as the captain of 1999 against the challenger, which is none other than Jang Young-hoo. This shocks everyone, including Nasian Wuk himself, as he never saw this challenge coming. However, it is on. Nasian Wuk versus Jang Young-hoo for the right to be called the best among the 1999-born students. We then see that everyone has filled up the arena for the fight between Nasian Wuk and Young-hoo under BTS rules. A third-year guy asks the second-year's boss, Chong-suk, how he managed to make this thing happen, to which Chong-suk proudly laughs and says that he really made it all work because he is the trap master. He is called the Fly Venus Trap for a reason. However, they are all confused as to why the 99 captain hasn't arrived yet. The referee of the bout then tells the first years to contact their boss Nasian Wuk, and they try to do so, but to no result. Youngtae also wonders why Nasian Wuk can't be found and thinks about just why Young-hoo is doing what he is doing. We then see that the king of Gukyeong, 97 Captain Ma Suk-pil, is also in attendance for the BTS, and he can't help but feel a bit annoyed by the constant chirping and happy environment in the arena, and so after a while, he lets out his otherworldly aura, which totally shuts down everyone in the arena, and he starts feeling better. Ma Suk-pil then asks just where the so-called boss of the 99 is and why he hasn't shown up for the BTS yet. The king of the school then berates Nasian Wuk for being an irresponsible and cowardly boss, who has disrespected the purity of the BTS by not showing up in time. Chong-suk then yells out at Park Suzy, knowing damn well that Suzy has feelings for Nasian Wuk, and questions her where the boss of the 1999 is, and does she know because she has been hanging out with him, just when he is putting pressure on her. Nasian Wuk shows up to the arena, and this shows relief on Suzy's face. Suk-pil is also excited from seeing the 99 boss after all and can't wait to see him lose and beaten down, and even calls Nasian Wuk a dog. To which Nasian Wuk then directly looks Suk-pil in the eyes, and this impresses the 97 boss as he commends the courage to look him in the eye, and the gaze of Nasian Wuk's, it's not that of a dog's, it's that of a tiger's. Then we see Nasian Wuk stand face to face with Young-hoo, as he asks Young-hoo if he is doing this on his own, to which Young-hoo looks at Cheon-dung in the crowd and says that he chose this by himself. Nasian Wuk notices this and understands what went down for Young-hoo to have chosen this, and this makes Nasian Wuk do an angry growl. Nasian Wuk then says that he isn't even interested in being the boss, so why did Young-hoo have to take this path? Young-hoo says that it is not about the crown of being the 99 captain, it is about fighting for the honor of his friend. Nasian Wuk then tells Young-hoo that he is a human after all, and that he won't let Young-hoo go if he betrays him like this, and gives him one last chance to turn back. This pisses off Young-hoo, who then flips the bird at Nasian Wuk and tells him that he can go give his mother a chance. Nasian Wuk says Young-hoo has crossed the limit and now he will pay for it. And so the BTS has started. They thought this was just a normal school, but these two are literal weapons. Nasian Wuk and Jang Young-hoo are trading blows so fast the crowd can't even track their movement. This isn't just a spar. It's a clash of hidden legends that leaves the entire arena in disbelief. But while the top ranks are busy tearing each other apart, a sleeping giant is finally waking up in the back of the class. The hierarchy is about to be shattered, and you won't believe who's holding the hammer. As the story continues, Nasian Wuk and Jang Young-hoo clash, trading blows as the stunned crowd watches in disbelief. Jang Young-hoo suddenly throws a vicious right hook, which Nasian Wuk narrowly dodges. Without pause, Young-hoo spins back and fires a right overhand, but once again Nasian Wuk evades it. He counters with a rapid left-right combination, yet Young-hoo skillfully ducks under every punch. Frustrated, Young-hoo regroups for a moment before launching another attack with incredible speed, unleashing a series of brutal combinations. Nasian Wuk manages to avoid them all. In the midst of the fight, Nasian Wuk briefly glances at the crowd and notices Young-tae watching in shock, unable to believe his two friends are fighting. Nasian Wuk then looks to the opposite side of the arena and spots Sudako in the stands, smiling as he observes the battle. At that moment, Young-woo seizes an opening and charges forward, throwing a sharp left hook. Nasian Wuk dodges it, but the punch is so fast that it leaves him momentarily off balance. But he regroups well and throws a few shots of his own which were avoided by Jang Young-woo. Young-woo was not one to go on the defensive either. He swiftly transitioned between dodging any attacks thrown at him to going on the offensive himself. As they were going back and forth with one another, Young-woo understood that Nasian Wuk's attacks were going wayward. This allowed Young-woo to find a gap in Nasian Wuk's defense. As Young-woo tries to exploit it, Nasian Wuk manages to masterfully maneuver his body to close the gap down. This was shocking for Young-woo, who couldn't believe that his opponent was able to move like that while he was getting countered. All of a sudden, both fighters land a right hook at the same time, and each punch is brutally powerful. The sheer force sends Nasian Wuk and Jang Young-woo staggering backward. Shocked, they take a moment to catch their breath, then lock eyes, burning with anger and raw intensity as their fury only grows. Following this, Jang Young-woo points out how Nasian Wuk is moving with hesitation. He doesn't want that. Instead, he wants Nasian Wuk to go all out and fight at his best too. Jang Young-woo then charges in at Nasian Wuk at full speed. He motivates himself to be quicker, to be stronger, and to rise up to the occasion. Jang Young-woo throws some lightning-fast attacks, which were barely dodged by Nasian Wuk. Nasian Wuk shoots for a leg takedown, but Jang Young-woo leaps over it and charges forward with wild aggression. Locking eyes with him, Young-woo drives a crushing right cross into Nasian Wuk's chest, sending him sliding nearly 20 feet. Nasian Wuk lands on the ground, looking up as he struggles to recover. He then calls out Young-woo's full name and admits that he finally understands his resolve. Though he once doubted him, Nasian Wuk now recognizes the seriousness and sincerity behind Young-woo's intentions, revealed through that single punch. Nasian Wuk then tells him to put everything into every punch from that moment on. Hearing this, Jang Young-woo laughs, as it is exactly what he wanted from Nasian Wuk. He grins, clenches his fist, and promises that he will give him his very best. Nasian Wuk charges forward, unleashing rapid, lethal combinations, but Jang Young-woo evades every strike with equal speed. The crowd is mesmerized by their skill, yet neither fighter shows any sign of slowing down as they continue trading thunderous, lightning-fast blows. Suddenly, Jang Young-woo leaps in with a flying kick aimed at Nasian Wuk's face. To his shock, Nasian Wuk catches the kick and hurls him nearly 20 feet away. They lock eyes, then rush back at each other, swinging relentlessly. From the crowd, their friend Young-tae notices something strange. Both fighters are smiling as they throw their punches. To everyone's surprise, In-shim arrives. The crowd, including Young-tae, is stunned. When Young-tae asks where he has been, In-shim instead questions what Nasian Wuk and Young-woo are doing. Young-tae is caught off guard, sensing that something is off, and grows confused by In-shim's calm reaction. Meanwhile, the fight rages on. Nasian Wuk throws a vicious, Tyson-like left hook that Young-woo barely avoids, though the force knocks him off balance. Nasian Wuk follows up with more combinations, but none connect. Still, both continue pressing forward without hesitation. As the battle intensifies, 97 boss Ma Suk-pil appears in the crowd, watching closely. He realizes that what he once thought was a single prodigy is actually two. Learning that both fighters are only first years excites him even more, and he smiles as he observes. Jang Young-woo fires back with a left hook of his own, narrowly missing but managing to unbalance Nasian Wuk. At the same time, Ma Suk-pil notices the same odd detail as Young-tae. Both fighters are smiling as they fight. Confused yet intrigued, he begins to ponder what it means. The two were in fact smiling as they were fighting each other, but the fighting persisted at full strength. Nasian Wuk throws a jab at Young-woo to maintain distance. However, Young-woo tactically dodges to avoid the punch. Being the fighting genius, Nasian Wuk takes advantage of this and tries to drive a punch to the back of Young-woo's head. But Young-woo steps aside and slides back to avoid the blow. Young Woo took a moment to regroup himself before grinning excitedly at Nasian Wuk. The feelings were mutual, as Seon Wook was also excited. Young Woo charged in to hit Seon Wook, while Seon Wook was looking to hit him as well. As they close in, ready to strike again, In Shim suddenly shouts for them to stop. He reminds them that they had promised to go easy on each other. Both fighters immediately freeze, lower their heads, and admit he is right, clearly embarrassed. The crowd, including their friends, is stunned and confused by the sudden halt. Some spectators even begin shouting in frustration, wondering what just happened. Moments later, young Jun storms in from behind, angrily questioning In Shim. Shim, already irritated, snaps at him to get off his shoulder. Frightened, young Jun quickly backs away. Then Nasian Wuk removes his cap and throws it toward the 97 boss, shocking everyone present. He calmly declares that the show is over. In the stands, Sudako laughs, amused by the boss's expression. Nasian Wuk then calls out In Shim's name. Stepping forward, In Shim pulls out a letter and begins reading it aloud, fumbling as he goes. He announces that the first-year students refuse to be bound by the existing rules and formally declare war against the first, second, and third years alike. Hearing this, the entire crowd is left utterly stunned. The story then shifts to a brief flashback from the previous day. After hearing only part of Sudako's words, Jang Young Woo makes up his mind and walks away in haste. Realizing that Young Woo has misunderstood him and is about to make a serious mistake based on incomplete information, Sudako runs after him and eventually manages to stop him. Calling out from behind, Sudako catches Young Woo's attention. Young Woo turns and asks what he wants. Out of breath, Sudako tells him not to judge his words before hearing everything. He admits that he has not given up hope and is still searching for someone who can break the system once and for all. Sudako then tells Young Woo to stop saying things that do not suit him and to trust what he has seen and experienced for himself. He urges him not to be influenced by others' opinions, insisting that the person Young Woo saw will surely win. As Sudako speaks, Young Woo watches him closely, finally beginning to understand the situation. In the next scene, we see that Jang Young Woo calls Nasian Wuk for a meeting, and Nasian Wuk arrives at the place. Shortly after, we can see that Nasian Wuk and Jang Young Woo are standing in front of each other. Moments later, Jang Young Woo thanked Nasian Wuk for coming to see him on such short notice. On the other hand, Nasian Wuk asked Young Woo how his condition was, and if he was okay. Hearing this, Jang Young Woo looked at Nasian Wuk and smiled. Then suddenly, Jang Young Woo noticed that there was someone behind Nasian Wuk. But, because it was night when they were talking to each other, he couldn't see who it was. Then moments later, Jang Young Woo realized that it was In Shim who was standing behind Nasian Wuk. After realizing that it was In Shim, Young Woo was absolutely pissed off. So, there he asked what he was doing there and he cursed at In Shim. Following that, Young Woo says that if he has to put it honestly, then he would say that he was feeling like he was being stabbed in the back. He then further goes on to say that this feeling was not good and he was not feeling okay at all. Hearing this, Nasian Wuk says that he understands Young Woo's feelings, and then he also adds that he is pretty sure that In Shim was also feeling the same. Shortly after that, we see both Nasian Wuk and Jang Young Woo meet up with each other. Seon Wook asks Young Woo if it is about In Shim, which surprises Young Woo, but it indeed was. Young Woo mentions how he felt betrayed being treated like that by In Shim, someone he trusted. But Seon Wook clears it up by saying that In Shim probably regrets that as much as anyone else. The main point of concern for them was the uninvited idiot, Cheon Deong. Young Woo opens up to Seon Wook about how Cheon Deong paid him a visit. He visited him to try and entice Young Woo against Seon Wook. Cheon Deong is part of a bigger conspiracy that wants to dethrone and dismantle Nasian Wuk. Young Woo mentions how he told Cheon Deong that it won't be easy to take down someone as strong as Seon Wook. Following that, Jang Young Woo started laughing to lighten up the mood, but he abruptly stopped and became serious. He subsequently asks Seon Wook if he will be able to take on the second and third years that are coming for him. In his reply, Nasian Wuk says that if he had to put this honestly, then he would say that he is pretty confident that he'll be able to pull it off. He further goes on to add that he will protect his people. He tells Young Woo that it doesn't matter if he is sure or not about this, because whichever team he chooses to support, regret will hit him, such as the cruelty of life. Nasian Wuk then mentions that his mother's wish for him is for him to get a high school diploma. His mother didn't ask him to become an amazing person or something special. She just wants him to get a diploma. It's her only wish. Nasian Wuk adds that he is trying his best to fulfill that wish, but his heart isn't cooperating. He can't control his emotions well either. When he fights, he gets heated, and that feels really good to him. Just thinking about that makes him smile brightly. Afterward, Nasian Wuk says that he told his mother the other day that he is sorry. He was trying his best to fulfill her wish, but it simply wasn't working out. Moments later, she told her son that it was getting hard for her to understand what he was saying. However, Nasian Wuk just looks like his dad, and that his father was like that too. She asks him if he was also feeling heated too. His mother asks him if he really thought she wasn't understanding his feelings. She also asks him to live his life without regrets while holding his hands. Nasian Wuk then jokingly tells his mother to be ready and wait for his diploma to be completed, because was planning on kidnapping her from the hospital and taking her to the ceremony. In response, she also laughed and said sure to her son. He left the room. Nasian Wuk saw his brother Nadong Wuk, and he was playing games. Following that, he told his brother not to be involved in any sort of sports betting or gambling, unless he wants to get a beating from him. Nadong Wuk then told him that he is not into this kind of stuff. As he leaves, Nadong Wuk wonders why his brother is always so harsh to him. In the next moment, Sudako tells Young Hoo that they should just break the system. Young Hoo smiles and agrees. Shim calls out to him, and Young Hoo asks what he wants. Shim looks at him, tears in his eyes, and apologizes. Annoyed, Young Hoo forgives him but warns it's the last time. Shim laughs and agrees, and they hug. Afterward, Young Hoo reveals his plan to them. Young Hoo informs them that he will be doing the BTS. This was kinda shocking for the two others, but Young Hoo elaborates his plan. He says that he will do it because that's the only place they can gather the second and third years. So they will be able to strike them at once and take them out for good. Back in the present, Shim reads the note and declares war on the second and third year student. The crowd is left stunned, unable to process what is happening as jaws drop across the arena. Cheon-dung, in particular, can hardly believe it. A furious Oh Chang-suk turns to glare at him, and Cheon-dung shrinks under his gaze. Even Ma Suk-pil is shaken, struggling to comprehend the situation. Meanwhile, Shim turns to Nasian Wuk and Jang Young Hoo and asks them what they should do next. Young Hoo tells him not to worry about all that, as he grins and declares that they'll be taking out everyone there. All of a sudden, Ma Suk-pil starts laughing like crazy. Seeing this, Nasian Wuk, Young Hoo and Shim were surprised, and they couldn't understand what was even happening. Ma Suk-pil then speaks up. He admits that Sian Wuk and Young Hoo were tough, but they had no idea who they had picked to fight with. Hearing this, along with the sheer aura of the 97 boss, Shim was so scared that he was down on his knees. Young Hoo attended to him, but Ma Suk-pil's presence had shaken up everyone in the arena. Everyone except for Nasian Wuk, who looked surprised by how it was affecting everyone else. He then breathes in before roaring like a tiger. The sheer power of the roar had nullified Ma Suk-pil's aura, shocking even the man himself. Others also noticed that the boss presence had been overpowered. Everyone was stunned by this. After that, Sian Wuk asks Suk-pil if it is really necessary for him to harass innocent people, when the matter could be solved within them. Hearing that, the other guy got mad and started yelling at Nasian Wuk. This is when the boss starts talking directly to Sian Wuk. He mentions how he has started to like Sian Wuk. He adds that he appreciates the strength he carries and wants Sian Wuk to join hands with him. This was a shocking proposal for everyone. But Suk-pil tells Sian Wuk that he will forget about this rebellion that they've staged if Sian Wuk joins up with them. He also adds that he will take good care of Sian Wuk, so that he won't get disappointed in the future. All Ma Suk-pil asks of Nasian Wuk is to be his strength, because, according to him, he is aiming for an even higher place. Hearing this, Nasian Wuk was a little taken back and confused. However, Nasian Wuk then says that he appreciates the offer, but goes on to add that he actually is not interested in men, which shocked everyone. He also mentions that a tiger like him would never be working under a wild dog like Suk-pil. It would hurt his pride. Hearing this, one of the men becomes fired up and moves to attack Nasian Wuk, but the 97 boss stops him. Ma Suk-pil then repeats that he truly likes Nasian Wuk and that his offer still stands. Rising from his seat, he tells Nasian Wuk that he may visit him anytime. However, he also warns that the rest of his gang does not seem to share his feelings and advises Nasian Wuk to be careful. Moments later, Ma Suk-pil leaves, laughing as he keeps his eyes on Nasian Wuk. After his departure, Nasian Wuk, Jang Young-hoo, and In-shim are left confused, unsure of what just happened. Young-hoo remarks that this outcome is completely different from what they expected. Shim agrees, saying the boss clearly favors Nasian Wuk, though Young-hoo admits that this only makes the situation more uncomfortable. Soon, their friends gather around, asking what is going on. One of them claims to have a rough understanding of the situation and says the king's idea sounds promising. Still confused, Nasian Wuk responds that he needs time to think about the proposal Ma Suk-pil has made. In the next scene, Oh Chang-suk is consumed by rage as he brutally beats Cheon-dung. After the assault, a battered Cheon-dung apologizes, but Chang-suk demands to know whose side he is on and whether this failure is why he was brought there. He reminds Cheon-dung that he promised to handle everything, then grabs him by the collar and says he trusts him. Cheon-dung can only apologize again. Enraged, Oh Chang-suk orders him to get out of his sight. Left alone, Chang-suk reflects bitterly that the boss would never even notice him, no matter how hard he tried. Jealous that Nasian Wuk had won the boss's favor, he begins plotting how to teach Nasian Wuk and his team a harsh lesson. In the next scene, Nasian Wuk, Young-hoo, and In-shim sit in their classroom, the atmosphere unusually calm. In-shim remarks that he is glad everything is finally over so they can enjoy some peace for a while. He jokes that he nearly died of boredom during class. He then asks Young-hoo if he wants to go to the PC cafe later, and Young-hoo agrees. In-shim also invites Song-tae, but he explains that he plans to study with Nasian Wuk and Kang Minju instead. In-shim accepts this, then asks if he knows where Dako is, since he has not seen him all day. Song-tae replies that Dako is going to a coin karaoke after school. Hearing this, In-shim looks a little disappointed. They remind each other to take care, wish one another a good time, and say their goodbyes, agreeing to meet again the next day. As Jang Young-hoo and In-shim were leaving the place, Young-hoo said that today's bill was on In-shim, and they both laughed it off. Afterward, In-shim says that he will carry the game today. To which Jang Young-hoo replies by saying that it actually looks to him that In-shim will have to carry on for 10 more years to clear his karma. Following that, an angry In-shim says that he actually finds it really ridiculous what Young-hoo was saying. So he will now just be carrying the machine. To which Jang Young-hoo replies by saying that In-shim was full of nonsense, and that he was just an iron. In response to that, In-shim said it was nothing like that, and it was just because the team was bad and that's it. And he further goes on to say that he actually can play in the Diamond League. Following that, a smiling Jang Young-hoo asks In-shim to carry him properly today. All of a sudden, they both noticed some of the second year's guys. As they look at them, they can feel that they were very angry with them. So Young-hoo was also giving them a cold look. Although Jang Young-hoo and In-shim both were pretty confused about the reason that way, they were put on the spot. Therefore, Jang Young-hoo decided to ask them if there was something wrong. Following that, one of their seniors asked them just where they were going at that time, and if they were going to play now. On the other hand, we can see that Nasian Wuk, Kang Minju, and Song-tae were also on the street. There they were also surrounded by the seniors, specifically the second-year students in particular. Following that, Oh Chang-suk said to them that if they see their seniors, then they should always greet them first, because that is how things work in their school. On the other side, Nasian Wuk just kept staring at him. But the senior guy kept coming closer to him and he was laughing at them. Song-tae then puts on a fake smile and asks them how they were doing and if they wanted something. He tells them that if it's not something important, they should let them go, because they were looking to study together. Seeing this, the senior guy laughs at them and asks his mates to look at the prick, referring to Nasian Wuk. After that, he says that at first the senior was worried about the king, but now he believes it is going to turn out great. He then lets out a mysterious laugh and adds that a senior educating a junior is a wonderful thing. With that, he asks them to take a look at this great scenario they were in. After that, the senior says it is time to teach the juniors a proper lesson. A confused Nasian Wuk asks what they mean by everyone. Young-tae follows up, wondering if they mean all the other students as well. The seniors do not answer and instead burst into laughter. One of them then tells the other that they should begin training their dear juniors. Suddenly, they all charge at Nasian Wuk and the other students with reckless intent. Sensing the danger, Nasian Wuk tells the others to step back. Seeing this, the seniors mockingly ask if he really thinks he can handle them all alone. One of them then throws a thunderous right cross at Nasian Wuk's face. To everyone's shock, Seon Wook catches the punch with one hand. Even so, the force drives him back several steps, knocking Kang Minju off balance as well. Seon Wook quickly steadies her and asks if she is all right. Still stunned, she says she is fine, then notices a senior about to attack Seon Wook from behind and urgently warns him. Seon Wook dodges the incoming attack, but another senior immediately rushes him with wild strikes. He avoids several blows before one of them lands a kick on his arm, though it does not connect cleanly. Seon Wook then tells Young-tae and Kang Minju to step aside, warning that the situation is turning dangerous and that they should regroup before moving forward properly. Everyone agrees. Seon Wook regains his footing and settles into a fighting stance. One of the seniors scoffs, saying he understands what Seon Wook is trying to do, but adds that it will not work in this situation. After that, the senior orders his men to use their technique on Nasian Wuk. As they launch it at his face, he mockingly calls Seon Wook buddy and taunts him, asking if he had ever researched whether such a technique even existed. Moments later, another senior tells Seon Wook to brace himself for the next step and pulls out a thick rope, attempting to strangle Kang Minju with it. Seon Wook reacts instantly, grabbing the rope and stopping him just in time. Furious, he warns them never to lay a hand on her again. Seon Wook then tells the others to run, but a senior suddenly drives a crushing right cross into him. The blow sends Seon Wook crashing to the ground, motionless. One of the seniors sneers, asking if Seon Wook really thought they would go easy on him just because he is a first year. He adds that they clawed their way up from the same place. Kang Minju stands frozen in shock, horrified by what she sees. The senior then declares that he will end Seon Wook with his own hands, while Seon Wook lies helpless, unable to fight back. Seon Wook lies on the ground, unconscious, while Young-tae stands ready in a fighting stance, prepared to take on all the seniors. Besides Seon Wook, Kang Minju sits crying, watching the blood pouring from his head. She turns to Young-tae, worriedly noting that he may have hit his head on a rock. Young-tae is overwhelmed by the sight, but one of the seniors sneers, saying Seon Wook had been too cocky, so this is what he deserves. He then declares that today will be the funeral for the first-year students. The seniors glare at Young-tae, who stands in a fighting stance, though fear churns inside him. They mockingly ask whether he will come to them or if they should come get him. Young-tae realizes that facing these second-year students alone will be extremely difficult. He thinks back to the first fight with them, when holding his ground was already tough, but now without Nasian Wuk it will be even harder. Shaking off his doubts, he tells himself this is not the time to overthink. It is no longer a question of ability, he simply has to fight and he has to do it on his own. Young-tae steels himself, ready to fight as if his life depends on it. Suddenly, all the seniors charge at him like a pack of wolves. One throws a right hook, but Young-tae ducks it easily. He counters with a hook to the ribs, sending the senior crashing to the ground. Another senior is shocked, asking how this weak little kid could hit him like that, and his anger flares. As he moves to attack, Young-tae tells himself to stay calm and not be afraid. He strikes again with another hook, and the second senior also falls to the ground. Moments later, one of the seniors who had fallen grabs Young-tae by the feet, leaving him stunned. How could that guy recover so fast? Before he can react, another senior lands a straight right to his chin, sending him crashing to the ground. Young-tae struggles to get up, but it is too late. The second-year students begin kicking him mercilessly. Overwhelmed, Kang Minju screams his name, desperately calling for help. Meanwhile, the senior delivering the blows taunts him, daring him to act tough and calling him a worthless piece of trash. Meanwhile, one of the seniors, Oh Chong-suk, stands back, watching the brutal scene with satisfaction. He mocks the first years, calling them idiots, and scoffs that if they thought the king would keep letting them slide or that the second and third years were pushovers, they were sorely mistaken. Young-tae hears him mumbling and starts thinking carefully about what to do next. He mentally asks Nasian Wuk for guidance on how to handle the situation. Hearing this, the seniors grow furious and begin attacking Young-tae even more viciously than before. Suddenly, one of the seniors is sent flying backward, leaving the others stunned. Young-tae rises once more, telling himself that he can do this, and that he will. He challenges the remaining seniors, declaring that he is no longer afraid. From a distance, Oh Chong-suk, the second-year leader, laughs at Young-tae and announces that it is his turn to play. He charges forward, unleashing a flurry of mind-blowing punches. Young-tae raises his hands, blocking the onslaught as best he can. As Young-tae blocks, he begins to feel the full force of Oh Chong-suk's punches. Chong-suk, enjoying the struggle, taunts him. Suddenly, he notices a drop in Young-tae's guard and lands a crushing left uppercut, shaking Young-tae to his core and knocking him unconscious to the ground. Chong-suk smirks, saying the attack has relieved his stress. He mocks Young-tae further, calling him a useless piece of trash for always hanging around Nasian Wuk and acting like him. Just as he is about to continue, Young-tae suddenly rises, saying he is not done yet and is ready to face him again. The senior is stunned, knowing he had landed the punch perfectly. In disbelief, he wonders how Young-tae is still standing. Young-tae declares that it is not over yet. The senior sneers, saying it would have been smarter for him to stay on the ground and warns that things will only get worse. Young-tae boldly says that no one expects him to win against the senior. Enraged, the senior asks if Young-tae is insane for thinking he could. Young-tae admits to himself that he will likely lose because he is weak. But if he stays on the ground, he will become the useless piece of trash the seniors always call him. He recalls something Nasian Wuk once told him: there are no useless friends, and no life is meaningless. What truly matters is how someone moves forward in a situation like this. He reflects that just because others have trained and can fight, it does not give them the right to steal from weaker kids. From now on, he will be strong against the strong and fair to the weak. He warns the seniors that abusing weaker people only makes them look pathetic. With resolve, Young-tae faces all the second-year students and challenges them, telling them to bring it the F on.